Big love and respect. Everybody in YouTube world, welcome back to the Slick Distant Shared Artistic Expression. We got Chris Miner and our brother Silas Speaks joining us tonight on a weave of epic proportions. How you guys doing tonight?
Good, brother. How are you guys?
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, man. So
Yeah,
glad you
buddy.
made it again, Silas. So glad you came, man. That last show was so much fun. That
Yeah.
was a really fun weave on the last one. So I'm just going to bring everybody in the audience up to speed on our conversation. We were weaving in the green room and decided we should share some of what we're on about. It is a very long story, but I just want to get to the thought experiment of my theory here. And right before you came, Silas, I was telling Chris that I learned a while back. Have you ever heard of Umberto Eco, Silas?
I have not, no.
In Foucault's Pendulum? He's a real amazing. He was an amazing author. Kind of ahead of his time and above everybody's pay grade, talking over everybody's head on purpose. And Umberto Eco, I think it was around 2000. I don't want to claim a year. I think I'd be wrong if I tried. Somewhere between 2000 and 2010, he made this fascinating claim as he is a bibliophile, a world-renowned bibliophile. And, he has castles in England. He's got castles in the Mediterranean, but he prefers his castle in the Mediterranean because it's got the occulted books, right? And so he's kind of a living library of a man. And he was pouring his life's work into the computer, into digital. And he was learning how the digital realm operates back then. And he made a claim that he believes that the Windows computer has a built-in fundamental Protestant ethos to the way the computer functions. And he also says that the Apple computers are Jesuit ethos to their core. And that is such a profound claim. But what ends up happening is it ripples through the world in controversy, and everybody is kind of thinking newly. Nobody would ever think that the type of computer has an ethos that is theologically slanted, And so after he made that claim, I believe that the computer wizards, their pants were down. Something was exposed here. And since the claim, the computer culture has done an overhaul to kind of muddy the waters on the fact that their pants were down when he said that. And so his claim is not evident today. If you go and you look at the way computers are organized now, it's not as obvious. But in the days, this Umberto Eco, I really I value his judgment deeply. And so I myself have just begun converting from a Windows computer onto a new Apple computer. And it is really rewarding for me because I didn't know this. I'm not a computer guy. I didn't know this, but I grew up on Apple computers. And I've been kind of bumbling with this Windows stuff. And it's just, it's just so finicky. So I get this old Apple and it's like coming home. Because that's what I grew up on in school, in college. It was all apples. And I was thinking about you, Chris, and our whole thing about nostalgia, and it was really rewarding. I felt young again. I felt like vivacious and I could do anything. You know what I mean? So I've been doing a metanoia, Silas. I've been going through a metanoia, a fundamental conversion. And shifting from what maybe once was Protestant into what once was more Jesuit, this Apple computer. And as I'm doing this and thinking about the ethos of different systems, right? The ethos of these different systems, I have a fun thought experiment I just want to share with people. And that is, I believe that the Firefly sci-fi phenomenon was rooting into the Windows ethos that Umberto Eco was picking up on. And I think that Pushing Daisies was picking up on the Jesuit ethos of the Apple computers that he was picking up on. And over the years, Firefly came first, I'm pretty sure, then faded out, and everybody wants more. There's a mania. People will do anything to get Firefly back on the scene, right? But they get Pushing Daisies instead, that runs longer. And then in 2012, did you guys ever hear the competition in the fan base of both whatever artistic installations? They surveyed and polled the fans to see which would you rather have us do, a remake of Firefly or a reboot of Firefly, or do you want Pushing Daisies to come back? And it was a big controversy. Everybody thought Firefly was going to get it. Everybody assumed Firefly was going to win because it had longer parthenia. It had built up more expectation over time. So when it came to the competition, everybody assumed it was going to win, and somehow Pushing Daisies ends up winning. And I think that the Pushing Daisies has to do with, do you guys know the premise of Pushing Daisies?
I was just looking it up because I've actually never heard of Pushing
I was
Daisies.
looking up as well. Yeah.
Okay, this is important. I would have talked over everybody's head and thought you knew what I was saying. So yeah, Pushing Daisies is it's a fun plot premise, and it's a fella who has this miraculous ability to touch something one time only and bring it back to life. But in the moment that it comes back to life, the law of equal exchange has to take place, and so something nearby will die, and he can't control or choose what it is that gets exchanged to bring something back to life. And so he's got the life touch and the death touch. And so he ends up bringing this beautiful woman back to life who he falls in love with. And now they're in love. They have trauma bonded, but they can never touch each other ever. And the whole arc of the film is kind of torturous in that they have so much affection. It's so adorable, but the audience is tormented because they know they can never touch. And so this forbidden touch becomes the plot of the full arc. She's a character through the whole thing. And I actually I really love the film, but I think that it's based on the story of Psyche and Eros. It's the Greek story of Psyche and Eros, where Eros sneaks into Psyche's bed and he's going to poison her so she falls in love with maybe Apollo or one of the higher gods. He's going to poison her, and he accidentally shoots himself, and he falls in love with her. And so now he's a god. She's in love with him. So it's a conflict of power. But he says, you can never look at me ever. We can get together every night and I'll give you all the pleasure you want, but you can never see what I look like. And so that forbidden aspect of never consummating fully is the torment of Psyche and love in their origin story. And I think it's baked into Pushing Daisies, which I'm freaking out because with the Apple computer, there's this weird thing about touching with two fingers, and you can split your fingers to do certain techniques. You can but if you mess up and one finger goes away, the whole thing scrambles. Like you'll screw up what you're trying to do in your project. And so this finicky touching and this dividing and bringing back together and certain screens activating certain things. Isn't that a fun theory?
It's interesting. It's interesting as well because even that idea that Windows and Apple or just in general computer systems there's like a theological angle to it, and that's something you're actually starting to see become a lot more ingrained in the culture. And funnily enough, it was ingrained in Dune, Frank Herbert's Dune as well, with the idea of the sort of techno gods of the thinking machines. So I think Umberto Eco was well ahead of its time on that. But what's interesting as well is this idea, like in any dialectic, it can never truly consummate itself, even when it synthesizes. So when the thesis and antithesis, sort of merge and integrate with one another, they never the integration is never really a consummation. It's never an entwining. there's always still a distance between the two. You know, that's it's like an inseparable liminal area that just can never be crossed.
Totally. Yeah, the gods and humans are always commingling, but there's always a power dynamic there, right? Somebody always has the upper hand or the power differential. Yeah. That
It's like
is
the
a
gods and titans, yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That was another one I was just thinking of there in our dialectic.
right. Yeah. So did you guys watch Firefly? Is that
I think I did see Firefly. It was only one season, right?
yeah, one season and one movie.
I don't think I saw the movie. I think I might have seen the show.
Okay.
But I feel like my mind wants to map on a lot of the show Roswell to Firefly for some reason.
Mhm.
And I know that they're completely different.
Okay. I haven't seen Roswell.
And Roswell, they did a remake of too, I remember, which is why I'm like, when you said a remake, I was like, wait, nope, Roswell's a different show. But about, I think,
Okay.
it's about both are about aliens in a way, no?
Yeah, yep. Firefly, so there's so many great synopses, but it's kind of a spaghetti western space uh plot. Spaghetti western space utopia, maybe. But yeah, aliens, spaceships, laser beams, and visiting different planets with different customs, kind of like Star Wars or Star
Okay.
Trek, right? Every planet is a unique cultural uh, trope, maybe.
hmm
But one thing about the word firefly, I think this is really rewarded me. That the firefly is the quintessential totem for the concept of entrainment. And it is said that just a few lightning bugs will be dispersed messaging. They won't syncopate. But once they get to a certain threshold, they start to really syncopate, and you'll actually see them kind of communicating in more and more order, kind of like the law of large numbers, so to say. But with bugs being entrained as the darkness goes down to communicate better, as yeah, over distance. Entrainment. What a
And
important term.
Firefly was Joss Whedon, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
There was
I did see it. Go ahead, Silas. Sorry.
Oh no, sorry, man. I interjected. There's also something strange as well. I'm aware of Firefly, but it was a little bit before my time. You know,
Okay.
I was probably well, I wasn't quite still in diapers at the time, but you know, I think I was just sort of weaning myself off of diapers
Well,
at the
yeah,
time.
Silas was
So,
real young.
yeah, I was real young. But I'm just looking up the cast here as well. You had Moreno Silva de Vaz, Seta Baccarin, or she's known, her screen name is Morena Baccarin.
Oh,
And there's a few others as well in Firefly that were actually part of Stargate, the Stargate series,
good call.
which is quite interesting as well. I'm familiar with Stargate as well, you know, but again, it's a sort of pop cultural proximity to, you know, I'm not necessarily, I never watched it at the time.
Yeah, I
And
definitely caught it after if I did even watch all of it. But I'm noticing here it was about a civil war too, or post Civil War.
yes, good
That's
point.
interesting.
Yeah. Yep. It was so incredibly well written. They wrote the first season full of promises that, that they really set themselves up with a fertile, abundant potential for the arc to just continue for years. And when it ended, I think there was drama. I do not know the inside scoop on the drama. They probably had some good reason, but it was such a waste of potential, such a rich, creative landscape they had made. One of a lot of people's favorite features is that in this future, when people want to use profanity, they resort to Chinese. And so right in the middle of the dialogue, they'll be all frustrated and they'll want to say something, and they don't use expletives. They use Chinese expletives. And that is adorable. There's something really adorable about that. And people loved that.
That actually makes sense, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's quite plausible. It's
Yeah.
almost like a strange take or drift on the Demolition Man idea that's contained in that movie. That was also another very weird movie. I caught that on VHS tape and all of that because
Yeah.
my grandfather, we would always go up to my grandparents' house, my maternal grandparents, maybe on a Saturday and sometimes a Sunday, and he had this, massive collection of VHS films, and one, there was loads of them. You had Terminator 1, 2, all of these, 80s movies, but you had Demolition Man as well, and I remember catching that, and it was always something that it sort of freaked me out at the time. Just the idea of how the world would become, and it would be so, uh, what's the word, prudish. It becomes so prudish, and free speech would, take a nosedive. And I'm thinking, yeah, there's no way this is gonna happen. And lo and behold, 20 years later, things have almost sort of come to pass in a way, haven't they? Yeah, it is a sort of Demolition Man world we live in some ways.
It is fascinating how how many of our fictions are being drawn upon. I actually saw last week some headline about people getting credit score demerits every time they use profanity. And that's part of the thing where he doesn't know how the toilet paper works and everybody's making fun of him, kind of like me on my computer. Oh, you don't know how to use the 3 seashells? Wow, look at this guy, he doesn't know the 3 seashells. So he goes over to the cuss box that gives you tickets every time you swear, and he just starts ripping into the thing and taking the tickets to go wipe his ass.
Classic scene. Classic. Classic.
And
It's such a human response as well.
totally. And isn't Stallone one of the 3 horsemen that's going to take over Hollywood now? Isn't that the thing? It's Stallone, Gibson, and who's the other one? There's 3 dudes who are going to crusade Hollywood.
John Boyd.
Maybe.
John. I think that's
yeah,
Stallone,
Boyd.
Gibson, and Boyd.
Okay.
That's who he named.
Yeah. Wow. The age of Horus, y'all. It's the age of heroes. And those are the 3 that have risen to the top. And we can count on some of their fictional works being peppered into our expectations.
Now, I highly doubt that it means anything, whatever the hell they were given, because I haven't seen much of anything from either of the 3 come out since the announcement in January.
Good point. Yeah.
I know that I think Gibson's working on the second Passion of the Christ, but aside from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Silas, you mentioned everybody is so prudish. I love that word. That is such a good word. Yes, the Taco Bell won the fast food wars. Art Bell's going to win the May the Fort be with you. May the 14 Force be with you wars. But yeah, prudish. And another word that's synonym to prudish is priggish. Well, that's even better than prudish, is priggish, a priggish person. But prudish, it reminds me of something I've been thinking about, Silas. I've been thinking about the philosophical razors. You guys ever heard of the 9 philosophical razors?
I have not, no.
No? Yeah.
Mm-mm.
These came onto my radar about 2 weeks ago, 10 days. And me and my buddies, we were kind of passing around these razors, talking about how do these things work? What's up with these razors? And so I have a graphic. Do you guys want to jump into graphics?
Let's do it.
Chris, I know you got
it.
Yeah, Chris has a ton to bring on. We have been putting together some threads, folks. We've been putting together some threads. Let's see. So, yeah, there are essentially, it's kind of here we go. Is that coming through?
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
good.
Okay. All right. So technically, there's really only 8 razors. And something I love that philosophers do is they'll toss out redundancies to test you. If you read Schopenhauer's 38 techniques for bad faith argumentation, if you go through all 38 in one setting, you might realize he repeated himself twice in his list of 38. And the specific ones he repeats are numerically special. I believe it's the 18th and the, what is it, the 32nd, 18 and 32nd arguments are repeaters. So when you take a razor to his 38 bad faith argumentations and you cut away the dross, it comes to a sacred number 36. And I see this in philosophical circles all the time. They're making sure you're on your toes. So this is a list of the 9 philosophical razors, but I had to go through and do a lot of legwork, y'all, to find out which one is an imitator, which one is mimicking, which one is a redundancy. And it turns out, can you guys see my mouse here?
Yeah.
Okay. So this Newton's flaming laser sword should stick out like a sore thumb because it's the only one not referred to as a razor, right? Uh, they're not being very subtle. But when you look into Newton's flaming laser sword, it turns out it's even worse than Occam's razor. Occam's razor is entities should not be multiplied beyond necessity. This says without. That's interesting. It's actually beyond necessity. I'm a little, yeah, I'd actually protest against the word without. It should read, entities should not be multiplied beyond necessity. And the doctrine of necessity is what puts us in emergency powers. And so when we're in emergency powers, all the conspiracy theories come boiling up into overdrive. And that's because of the necessity to know. There's a need, a desperation for knowing the state of affairs. And so, of course, the conspiracy theories boil over when there's a need, when there's a lack of clarity. And so Occam's razor comes along and just says, oh, you're just all conspiracy theorists. It's simple. You're all simple. And so Occam's razor is about parsimony. And you said you were talking about being prudish, Silas. And I think parsimony is kind of a form of being prudish in a way.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And also, it turns out I did the research to find out that Newton's flaming laser sword is like Occam's razor on steroids. And it's gone into overdrive. If something cannot be settled by experiment, it's not even worth debating. And so this is exactly how they captured the ganja industry in Colorado by making everybody's products be mandated to go through a laboratory. And so now all the laboratories are sucking off the economy of the ganja trade. So this thing right here, this cannot be settled. If it cannot be settled by experiment, that is so fascinating to me that you can't even talk about it if you don't have a laboratory. Essentially, I'm oversimplifying, but it does take Occam's razor to the next degree that it's not just necessity, it becomes affluence. If you don't have the affluence to do experimentation, your voice is not even worth a blue check, right? So Newton's flaming sword has taken the stage, and Occam's razor, which I used to hate Occam's razor. I used to really hate Occam's razor, but if I had to choose between Newton's flaming sword, I would beg for parsimony to come back because I do not like the alternative.
It's also as well that these ideas almost it brings out an upper threshold of to a barrier to entry that's purely bureaucratic, and it's something you see, I think, in this sort of as the years and years go by, increasingly more corporate system. And I think the corporate system itself, from its philosophical bedrock, has this idea that, well, similar to Occam's razor, and of course similar as well to Newton's flaming laser sword, which is that if we can't understand it, if we can, enchain and entrap the idea, or whatever idea it may be, even the human soul itself, in the bounds of measurement, then it doesn't exist. And so therefore you basically narrow the confines of human potentiality. So for essentially human control, right? Human control of other human beings. And as well with the Occam's razor, there's there's a funny Latin phrase, I forget it now. It was something I stumbled upon years and years back now, but essentially it translates to I believe it because it's absurd. And it's sort of a refutation of Occam's razor. And we were going into that.
Wow.
I'll try and find it, but it was hilarious.
Yeah,
And,
no, I know about this. Yeah.
I am going to keep that in my pocket forever.
Okay, did you get that image on the left? Is that Prudencia?
Nope. This is the Plato Symposium.
Well,
And
if you look at the link I sent in the private chat, on the Prudence wiki, there's an image of Prudencia. She's, I guess, one of the women depicted speaking to 8. So you essentially have 9 women there, which is interesting.
Yeah, and that's the word prudish, prudencia.
And I guess, I mean, prudish in the way Silas was saying it would be very different from prudence.
Well, yeah. I think it's the same word, but one has like a accusatory judgment, and the other one is just being pragmatic and reserved, maybe. But you know what, Silas?
Well, and they even have like the Latin is from a word meaning from providentia, meaning seeing ahead. Like, so they're saying it means like almost like foresight in a way, or practical wisdom.
Whoa! So they're tying prudence to providence.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's tricky.
Because that's very different than.
That's tricky.
And victory loves prudence as well, according to the Romans.
Interesting. That's a number.
Now, I mean, calculated risks, like virtue that involves taking calculated risks, that's closer to probably.
Yeah. All of these kind of ping on the number one for me. The perfectionist reformer. Athena is victory. Her name becomes Dike later. So she becomes the name victory. And she also is prudent. But you know what, Silas, what you were saying about the Newton's flaming laser sword, you know what? I think this flaming sword is synonymous with Wittgenstein's 7th and final law. And I find Wittgenstein all through our culture in so many ways. And I'm alarmed because there's an early Wittgenstein who I don't like, and maybe a late Wittgenstein who might have been trying to correct himself. He might have built the plans to the Death Star with the Vienna Circle, and then had a conflict of conscience and tried to undo what the Vienna Circle was doing with his early work. And so when I say Wittgenstein, some people think of one person, and some people think of another. So he's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde himself. But his 7th and final maxim is, of that which you cannot be certain, one must remain silent. And that's kind of what they're saying here. If something cannot be settled by experiment, it's not worth debating. This is basically Wittgenstein, and they're calling it Newton's flaming sword. I see high fuckery, y'all. I see high fuckery. I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
It's interesting that they're calling it Newton's flaming sword.
Why? It's because they knew that everybody was going to find out that gravity is nothing but more than memento mori.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and also, I mean, aside from some things becoming, as Silas said, more prudish, some have also become the opposite, which is, it's weird. It's like we're in like a semi Demolition Man world, but semi. What would be a good comparison?
A
Yep.
capricious world.
There we
Yeah.
go.
A
Yeah.
mercurial world, a world that's topsy-turvy, non-Euclidean.
Yeah, man.
You know, it just curves to the senses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I have a ton of graphics, but I do not want to not miss or not share what you have on board. Do you want to bring some of those?
Do you want to work? We could work them in. Let's just work them. I'll work them in either at the end or if they fit in with other stuff that you pull up. Let's do that.
Okay. Well, I got one that you and I think we were talking about it yesterday. I was doing just a random little thought experiment. I was doing the cast of the MASH series. And I realized that there's basically, I look up the cast in pictures and I'm like, oh, wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But wait a second, there was that one character who died and is not included. So he's number 9. But wait, this other character, he died and he gets taken out. And so I'm doing the personality profiles on MASH. And did you guys watch? I know you didn't, Silas, but Chris, did you get some MASH in your childhood?
Saw a little, not in my childhood, but it was after me still as well. Yeah. But I've seen some of it since then, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't mind dating myself here. But MASH was totally on all the time as a child, and it was all over my head. It was so adult, but I watched it anyways, and I laughed with the grown-ups, but I didn't know what I was laughing at. You know what I mean? It was so not geared for me. And so I go back to MASH with 9 special words. What I used is not the vices of the Enneagram. I used the virtues. And when I used the virtues, it was hand in a glove 9 times in a row. It was completely flawless. So I'd love to share that with everybody, because remember, entrainment and the fireflies, I'm doing the shadow work to realize my own entrainment as a child. I was way too young for what MASH was on about. And I want to say, it was not till I was 30 something that I ended up finding out what the lyrics to the opening song that they played every episode. And the lyrics to this song are totally morbid, y'all. It is not a song that I would want any sounds associated with it broadcast day in and day out onto the masses. The actual occulted lyrics, they're absent from the credits. They don't use the lyrics, they just use the tune.
Oh, geez. I didn't even know that was. I just looked up what the song was. Wow. I didn't know that was the song.
Yeah, that's a bit heavy.
It is so bonkers, and people are eating this up. They're communing on this family right here. And so the really fascinating thing is, I don't think I would have seen the characters fitting so soundly if I had used their vices. The kind of the neat thing for me was that I'm using their virtues. They're the mean between excess and lack is the virtue, the Aristotelian virtue. And so I have 9 quintessent means. I have 9 quintessent means. And when I use those words, it's almost like the word just fits my emotional association to these characters. And the crazy thing is, so I put number 5 here is this is Hawkeye's sidekick. This is his cohort in the war. But this guy is the second sidekick. The guy up in the top left, this was the first sidekick of Hawkeye, his best buddy. And Hawkeye and this guy were getting drunk all the time. They're drinking a lot. And this guy ends up dying, and they replace him with this guy who's actually struggling to stay sober in the same tent with Hawkeye, who's got he has a distillery, a full distillery in his tent. It's part of the scenery. And so he's getting drunk all the time, and he's so lovable, Hawkeye. But his buddy is always struggling to not meet his spirit. We'll say it that way. And so, yeah, altruism is Hawkeye, and sobriety is always the wingman of Hawkeye. And I just think there's really something profound to that. And then radar is forbearance because he anticipated everybody's needs, but he was the smallest plebe on the team. And then this guy was the tranny. Chris, do you remember the guy who was a cross-dresser?
Oh God, yeah, I do now. Wow,
Yeah.
wow. You know what's
it-
interesting? I'm looking at the song. The song, now that I see the lyrics of it, reminds me of the way what they did to, I guess more like me and Silas's, probably even your generation with Friends.
Whoa, what's that? What was that?
Okay. I never told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke. You're broke. Your love life's DOA. It's like you're always stuck in second gear when when it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. Like it's literally
Damn.
just entraining people to basically like watch the TV, because then it's I'll be there for you. I'll be there for you. I'll be there for you. When
Oh,
everything else in your life is horrible. But I'm seeing that now. There's also basically a much darker version of the MASH theme song.
wow. It kind of presages the managerial revolution and the fallout of all the bullshit jobs that they probably saw coming. So they had to put the Newton's laser in place so that so everybody feels like they're not scientific enough to even have an opinion.
Yeah.
You
Like-
find that as well. Oh, sorry, Chris, jump in, man.
I was just gonna say, there's even similar lyrics. Like it's weird in the second verse, like of the name I won't, the title of the song from MASH that I won't say, just in case you don't get a strike for it. But the game of life is hard to play. I'm gonna lose it anyway. The losing card I'll someday lay. So it's like the same type of same lyrics right there in the second verse.
Dude, that was the MASH song?
Yeah.
Okay, so the card he lays, that's the Queen of Diamonds from Manchurian Candidate. Now everybody pick up what I just said and go watch Manchurian Candidate and realize that is what he's talking about in the song.
You see as well, it's like films, and it was probably similar to, how stage performance and stagecraft was used in ancient Greece, of course, Elizabethan England, really, of course, any modern civilization, and it almost created this illusory fabric that's surrounded in people like some sort of cultural envelope. And it's like what you're saying, Chris. It's well, we would call it predictive programming now, social priming, but it's almost like subtly, just through the saturation of these, and very infectious messages, right? Throughout all of these sitcoms, all of these soap dramas, all of these movies, God, even books, right? Everything. It basically corrals people in certain directions. It makes you wonder: is there an actual industry behind all of this? In seeding and inseminating these ideas, these subtle hints into these novels, because of course some of these hints as well, some of these little subtle social priming cues, they don't even form the basis of some of the stories. It's almost like they're just tacked on as well. I've noticed recently too, because my fiance, she is sort of like a cinema goer, right? She's loves movies, so I've been watching more and more recent movies coming out, and I've noticed this weird trend of this sort of overarching Gnostic message, which is, the old demiurge is dying, and the new demiurge of, I guess, digitalism is being born, and it's this sort of Luciferian message where we are breaking free from the world egg of his control. And you see it. I mean, I can name just a few. Heretic with Hugh Grant, that was one. Even Weapons, that recent movie Weapons, and there was one more and the name escapes me now. I can just sort of envision the characters if the name comes back to me. But there's been literally tons of these movies, and I would only I've only really started going. I've only started going with her, more and more so to the cinema. Maybe, I don't know, 2 years back,
Hmm.
and the amount of these sort of Gnostic movies, they're not explicit. It's not like they're saying we are Gnostic, but just in the undercurrent of their writing, it's so explicitly Gnostic. That idea, that this is a controlled environment. Your world is controlled. Your life is controlled. Um, you are a peon in the system. These sort of weird
Matrix
ideas.
like Matrix like type of soul trap
Right.
sort of
Exactly.
yeah.
And it forms a false consensus that other people think we're in a prison too, right? And one of my
Exactly.
favorite retaliations against prison planet mentality is that racism has a use. It has a place. It belongs somewhere, and that is in prison. Racism belongs in prison. People bringing racism out on the free world, don't belong here. It belongs in prison. So the elements of racism are actually seeding that Gnostic worldview that this is a prison, an open air prison. You know what I mean? And I beg to differ. I beg to differ. But yeah, I kind of like that because a lot of anti-Gnostics they bitch and complain about the Gnostic victim mentality, right? This is an important split in the worldviews. It's a very important split in the worldviews. So yeah, if it's not a prison planet, then racism has no standing in the public. It belongs locked away.
And it's worth just saying here that there's many different Gnostic sects, and we're
Oh yeah,
more than right now. I think we're most likely talking about the more modern Gnostic
yeah,
sects.
you know, I'm actually operating from an overly broad general mentality.
Just so we don't
Oftentimes.
get we don't get crap in the comments from people, because I have identified with a lot of like proto Gnostic ideas,
Big
like
time.
or Valentinian Gnostic ideas.
Big time, big time. So I guess I should mention that my overgeneralization about the word Gnostic, it comes from this idea. Tell me if you guys have heard this before, that whether you're in any of the Abrahamic trinities or whatever, even if you're in the Valhalla 3.5 sect, that these theologies, the prison planet seed is a common misconception of Socrates' last words. Does that ring true to you guys? I could. Does that ring? This is Nietzsche. This is Nietzsche's revelation of what Socrates was on about with, so let's sacrifice a cock to Asclepius. And that line, I believe, is a Gnostic initiation for a great many people. And if you're reading Socrates with a Nietzschean bend to it, or somebody else who has a Nietzschean bend to their read on Socrates, the consensus since then, since 1900, is that we owe a cock to Asclepius because life is disease, and I'm cured of life now by dying. But that's bullshit, y'all. I hate to break it to you, that's bullshit. The reason why Socrates says we owe a cock to Asclepius is because the Gallic culture requires gallows humor. And gallow is the word for a cock. The guile. The guile. So the Gaio's humor of his last words, it's a cultural mandate. It's required that he speaks some triple, quadruple entendre inside joke for only the initiated, that everybody's going to not get the top 4 layers, and down at the bottom, he's just fulfilling the quota that all of the Gallic culture, Greek also, is obsessed with gallows humor. And this is because it's because Yggdrasil is Polaris. And the gallows, this crane that elevates an aegon, a common aegon seen from all sides, that's Polaris. That's the pole star. So yeah, that's my thing about gallows humor. And even Yggdrasil, the word Yggdrasil, it actually implies the gallows as well, and a horse. So if you put a rope on the gallows and a horse, and the horse rides off, right? So yeah, they got a weird thing with always having gallows humor. And then people, go ahead.
I'll jump in. Sorry, man.
I was just gonna say, and people take that and turn it into Prison Planet, but it's just a joke. It's just a joke. Y'all took it too serious.
Somebody actually just mentioned it, and I was just going to bring it up. The sort of weird coincidence there. They mentioned about the galleys as well, the castrated priests, and that is found in both the Sibylline cult or the Attis cult in Rome. When it was sort of exported from Cappadocia and Asia Minor into Rome, and it became the Magna Mater cult. And then you had as well the Sumerian Galley as well. I believe they were the priest class of Inanna or Ishtar. So interesting connection there. Even that idea of sacrificing a cock to Asclepius, it's the cockerel itself, which you see in Abraxas. It's the head of Abraxas. It is the idea of the dawn, the rubedo, right? It's the idea that one must sacrifice, I guess, youth, right? One must sacrifice youth to bring about that dawn, to bring about the constant lawful recursion of the system. So, and funnily enough, perhaps this is tied in with the dawn key. You always see this throughout not just Abrahamism and Abrahamic mysticism, but you see it throughout. For example, I was just in Vindolanda recently, and there's this supposedly unknown god there. It's like an ancient fort town, just behind Hadrian, what would have been Hadrian's Wall. So it's right at the frontier of the Roman Empire. And there's interesting theological stela from there. But one of the most interesting ones is, because of course it's the most mysterious. Well, it's not very mysterious when you understand probably what was going on in Rome at the time when this was probably carved. You have this naked individual who's wearing a conical hat, which is an Asiatic. That's a sort of Asiatic indicator relating to Phoenicia, the Levant, that sort of area, even Cappadocia and Asia Minor. And he has a staff, again, similar to Asclepius as well. And then beside him is the donkey. So the donkey can be associated with Mercury and other deities, but it can also be associated, of course, with Baal, Yahweh, all of these sort of storm and war deities in that area. And this is because it goes back to the very famous donkey species known as the kurga. The kurga would be used to lead the chariots of the nobles and the royals. So that's where the connection with royalty was. This is why Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey and things like that. It's connected to that.
And it's also why Christianity is a Kurga cult. It's a Kurgo cult.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
The donkey brings the cargo, y'all. It's the tribe of Dan on the back end. No, leave no trace camping. The cargo cult is the Kurga. Guys.
Oh, dude, I didn't even think of that. That's actually brilliant.
bro, set is happening, y'all. I'm just here to tell you, set is happening. And you thought you were separate? You thought you were separate from the crowd? Guess what? What is a set that is no subset of any other subset? That's your presumption that you're not in the group. Set theory, it's alive and well, y'all. You better get up on it. Go read some Bertrand Russell. Catch up on your set theory and find out why he had to lock himself up. Because Set came to visit. The one exception from all exceptions. I
See,
want to share some donkey stuff, but keep going. I'm just going to bring the pictures up. Keep going.
it's interesting as well because there was something very weird with the whole Charlie Kirk event, and I won't dwell on this, but it was just uh, what was his widow's name? Erica Kirk, and she was making that speech, that very fiery.
And the donkey was on the desk.
The
right?
donkey was on the desk.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make sense. Of course, the Republican animal is the elephant, and the Democratic animal is the donkey. So why would the donkey be there? And when you realize what the donkey is actually relating to, just in terms of its pronunciation, its homophonic meaning, is again, it's the key to the dawn. So you're, and it's even the idea of the commerce, right? The commerce, which is of course the mer, the sea, and essentially it's this idea that commerce, trade, profit. It's not about wealth. It's not about profit in the sort of remunerative financial sense, but the profit itself. It's about power. It's about maintaining the circularity of the system. Again, similar to we were talking about Set or Ra, right? The Ra set, the great Ra set, the great reset. So all of it, all of the language itself, it's like this crazy minefield of deeper symbolism, right? That's
Yes.
relating to these cycles.
Yes. I want to say Carl Jung has stated that the gods have been relegated to mere functions in our culture. And Alfred North Whitehead says that the gods have been relegated to mere routines. And this really pleases my metaphysics. Subject, object, verb are the routine of every sentence. Subject, object, verb are a holy trinity of every sentence. Subject, object, verb is the foundation of the word sovereign. And subject, object, verb does not operate the way we presume it does in other languages. It does something different when you're in Greek paradigms. And so, yeah, the gods are totally the functions and the routines, and we're taking them for granted. They're here and they're baked into our language. And when we get close to causality in language, our word choice becomes really strangely deified. And if you get into Nietzsche, you'll find out that when we get close to causality, we actually do language tricks on ourselves to think that our words are attaching, that the rubber's meeting the road when we speak. But when we get close to causality, we actually resort to theological sleight of hand on ourselves. It happens all the time. So yeah, is that resonate to what you were saying, Silas? That there's something in our words that seems to have been there all along?
Yeah, it's almost like it's a Freudian slip by the construction of our words alone, right? It's somebody mentioned prophet and prophets. Spellcasting, and they also mentioned prey, and of course prey as in the predator's meal. So it's I like what you're saying. It's literally built into the system. It's the language itself and the terminology of power and even religion in this sense is all based around a sort of grand Freudian slip of their own system. Mhm.
Okay, here I have found the picture that I really wanted to share with you. We were talking maybe a couple weeks back about how the Chariot card is hiding a donkey inside of it, because the two donkey stars are in Cancer, and I just wanted to share. My new technology has enabled me to do ghost photos, and so
overlay.
Yeah, ghost overlay. Yeah, yep. And so this is the Chariot card cut in half and overlaid on top of itself to bring forward the gigantic donkey ears. These are actually very large donkey ears. It might be a specific breed. But what gets me, fellas, can you see the crab on the nose of this patterning? Can you see a
Oh, yeah.
spider or a crab?
Mhm.
Right? And that is a symbol of Cancer. But guess what else? These are the rosy fingered dawn. This is the rosy-fingered donkey of the Iliad. They constantly refer to the rosy-fingered dawn, and a lot of people kind of go round and round about what the rosy-fingered dawn is. But I like the idea that it almost looks like the Japanese flag.
It
So
does.
Mhm.
yeah. So in something for me, this is kind of personal. I know that this is not a donkey. I know this is not a donkey, but this is my favorite donkey, the zebra. Uh, I believe that you guys have seen images of the Trojan horse, right?
Hmm.
Yes.
And yep, and you guys know that Trojan helmets have a certain style to the feathers on top, right? It's a mohawk. And so the word
Mhm.
Trojan horse does not apply to your long-haired horses. A Trojan horse has a mohawk. All of this is deep coded, y'all. All of this is deep coded. It's right there. You just got to take it another step. You got to abandon Occam and take an adventure.
Yeah, I believe it because it's absurd, because it's unsuitable.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
You nailed it, dude. I love
Yeah.
it. Wow, that
And you
was a
could
great
literally
answer.
map all of that onto the Mithras stuff too. All of it
Yeah.
maps right onto Mithraism and the Mithras cult.
Oh my goodness. I have to be careful with that maxim, Silas. I could use that all day long. Of course I believe it. It's absurd. It's so fun. Uh Chris, do you want to bring up the thing with the BTK? Will you bring up the BTK? I'm gonna stop sharing.
Yeah. Here, do you want me to start at? Let me see.
Yeah.
Screen.
So yeah, we were totally not communicating when Chris is looking up his thing, sharing some of his research rabbit trails with me. And sure enough, I'm in the middle of that project I showed with the MASH, all the characters of MASH. And all of a sudden, Chris pings me with this research he's doing about BTK. Are you familiar with BTK, Silas?
I'm not, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you are. So the serial killer.
Oh, yeah, that guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually, I know somebody who claims to have been one of his targets that he was plotting for a long time to
One of his
zero
projects.
in on, and it turns out she wasn't home that night, and he ends up going to the neighbor's house,
Really?
and that is way too close to home. Somebody I love a lot believes that she was targeted, and he ended up going next door. That's what the police have led her to believe. It's a creepy, creepy thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on with this guy, but the reason I even started bringing him up is because they just released another documentary on him on Netflix, and it seems like they do this constantly with things that are going to eventually pop up in a rhyming sort of way in the cultural narratives. Like that's how we were hitting on Charlie's Angels before Charlie's Angels and everything happened with Kirk and all the girls now who Trump has parading around in Erica Kirk, and just how this all sort of comes together in a different way than the original presentation, but oddly is still there nonetheless. So I just thought it was weird that they come out with the documentary on him at the same time that they have the new monster series on Ed Gaines, who me and a bunch of other people can't even remember as being a person, but apparently I couldn't even get past one episode. Very gory, just glorifying sort of this bondage, necrophilia stuff that is really pushing it for what we're used to with media.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that he had said that him and a bunch of other serial killers who we now often can even connect back to intelligence agencies or cult groups. He said they all had a factor X, which I mean that maps onto a lot of things we've seen over the last few years. But X,
Powder puff girls. It's
oh
totally into
yeah,
powder puff
yeah,
girls, y'all.
yeah.
Oh
And
my goodness.
what else was there here? Oh, I didn't know they called the task force that went after him Ghostbusters.
Right. This is a major culture seeder, y'all. Like this is think of like a gigantic mushroom, and the spores of these facts are anticipated to sprout later. 225 suspects. That's the year we are on right now. 225. It's 15 squared. It's the orbital period of Venus. V is 22. E is 5. NUS is the sun. Venus takes 225 days to turn around the sun. It's a sacred number right there in his bio.
And I mean, even up here, the stuff about the subliminal messaging that they were putting out, and this is an odd, like when you even read this, what does that look? What are you thinking when you hear the Fox crime scene? It sounds like you're thinking Fox television. You're not even thinking it's a person there, that's weird in itself. But they apparently flashed a subliminal message saying, "Call the chief," and thinking that he would see it and call into the police chief.
Wow.
What? It didn't work. Obviously, it didn't work. And then his logo is interesting.
So they were trying to trigger him.
Yeah.
The media was trying to trigger him.
The police told the media to do it after one of the, I guess, the news segments on him. Yeah.
And what is this?
And this is his signature, his logo.
Oh, I see it.
His glyph.
Yes, his sigil. Yep.
A sigil. Yeah.
Yep.
And this just has a lot of weird implications to me. It looks like a bow and arrow. It looks like breasts, obviously. You get so there's like a feminine, masculine sort of mix in there, an Orion sort of symbolism. I'm sure there's numerology of the 13, 31.
It also looks like a type of very stylized plasma discharge formation. Sort of squat.
Yeah. If you
excellent point.
Also, like if you would keep inverting it a little bit, you can have like the Blair Witch sort of Wiccan. I don't even know what it is. Like it's like a hanged man type looking
voodoo stick.
Yeah, voodoo stick symbol. Yeah,
big time. So BTK is 222. It's Build Back Better. BTK. It's 222 across the board.
Well, I thought it was interesting. He went to Wichita State University, and this is their.
They got the witch. They got a witchet.
Like, this is like is this the arrow from his name, from his logo? Like,
I think that's the Aught-astic. I think that's
it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like a wheat shaft, but I mean, it looks like the edge of his coming out of the K. There's supposed to be like he has like an arrow or something. But it's interesting that it almost is like the same as the school he went to. And then I started looking at the school, and I was like, oh, this school has so much in it, man.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Silas. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was just going to say as well, the S is very serpentine.
Oh yeah, and they're called the Shockers, by the way. Yeah, they're called the Shockers. Let me share the.
Funnily enough, on the serpentine idea, the Shockers, you always find this throughout. Of course, the Greeks and Romans adopted this, so did a few other European pagan cultures and mythologies. But you had in the Mesopotamia and the Levant this idea of the sea serpent. And I believe, well, for example, you had specifically Baal and Yam, but you had Marduk and Tiamat, and you had all Yahweh and Leviathan's another one, where the storm and war deity would strike down the sea serpent vis-a-vis a lightning bolt. Probably a connection there as well,
Yeah. Here, let me see what else I had on that, because there's a lot with the school. It's like, and I don't even know how to weave all of this together yet until Gabe starts presenting some more of his stuff. Because
dude, it is so wild, the timing. Like, you're talking about BTK and I'm over here on MASH, and all of a sudden it's we're psychically coterminal to each other in real time. It was
I'll run through this before you bring up the MASH thing, because the MASH guy is him. It is him. That is.
It's absurd. So of course it is.
But even just looking at what was going on at the campus over the past 10 to 15 years, you have all this synthetic biology stuff popping up on the campus, which is really, really strange. You also have where the heck is the thing with the Kirk thing? Okay, yeah. So the Shockers, who this is apparently named because their students used to, I guess, they used to go out and shock wheat, whatever the hell that means. I guess they were collectors of wheat, harvesters of wheat, like Saturn.
Well, that's the
Wow.
same with the factor X. So the X is the TAV. So it's I mean even the BTK. So that's what bet TAV cough.
Yeah.
So
So
I'd
you
have
have,
to look the pictographic meanings, but there's probably something there as well. I
And
know the jump in, man.
the whole world got shut down for a beta cough. A beta cough. It's a beta test.
Brilliant. Yes, exactly.
yeah. So then you have the PEP club members who were known as Wheaties, which is like everything at this school is named after a corporation, oddly, or like a brand. And the football manager who came up with the name Wheat Shockers is R.J. Kirk. Now, if you keep looking into the Shockers and their sports teams, you'll know that the plane went down, apparently, one of their sports teams, and it went down to Utah State University,
Oh shit.
killing 31, I believe, of the people on board. And
What?
Oh, remember, Kirk was 31 when he passed.
yeah, let me make sure it was 31. Yeah,
Wow.
31 people,
Wait,
31.
Was he this many years old?
And he was 31 as well.
He was shocker.
Yeah, he was
years
Shocker. He was Shocker years old.
Old? Yeah, he was 31. Yeah. Okay. I
Yeah.
get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they also played at Cessna Stadium, so the name of their stadium is named after an airplane, which is another weird thing. So we have that. We have the black and yellow as their theme colors. I'm sure you can get into a lot of, but oh yeah, the experimental game, which reminded me of the experimental gene for some reason, is something that they played against the Ichabods. And me and Gabe were going into stuff about the Headless Horseman and St. John the Baptist, and that gets into all the other stuff that I will share later on when we're getting into some of that stuff.
Yeah. Get ready, y'all. Get ready.
So yeah, here's the Utah State University where the plane went down in October. So it's around this time of year, and 31 of the 40 apparently pass away.
40 players.
And yeah,
40
I'll save
40
the rest for now.
Right on. 40 is very specific to Virgo. Virgo's the most gluttonous of all the sidereal stations. It has a full 40, and all the other ones are barely even managed 30. So it is because she's in birthing position. She's horizontal on the ecliptic plane and legs sprawled out. And it turns out that's the worst way to give birth to a baby. You think the doctors didn't know that's the worst way to do it, but they made women assume the position, as in the realm of forms, the position. But all right, Chris, I'm going to bring that graphic because wasn't there a part in your research that he asked the police to send him a signal in the news? What
Yeah.
was that about? How did that?
So
read?
I mean, he wanted a signal. He didn't really say what he even meant by that. And he said, "I will be," and then he starts talking about how he'll be known by these code words: bind, torture, kill. But I think the signal that they sent back was actually the subliminal message,
Oh, okay.
which he doesn't respond to.
So the subliminal was go call the chief.
Yeah, which I mean, that's
Yeah.
not a very specific subliminal either.
Wow.
I don't think that's the message he was looking for.
Yeah.
Oh,
So go ahead.
sorry, I was just going to say really quickly. So I was looking up there the pictographic meanings of bet, tav, cough. And so even that idea of the binding, so was it bind, torture, kill? So the binding, the torturing, the killing, that itself is basically the Gnostic cycle of involution. But this is also seen and reflected, and this is weird, it's reflected in the pictographic meanings of the Hebrew letters. So bet, pictographically, is the house, the dwelling, the vessel, the tabernacle, it's the creation. So that's the binding of the spirit to the physical body. And then you have Tav, which is the mark, the seal, the covenant, the truth. This also appears of course, in when Abaddon, or the angel of destruction, is unleashed by Yahweh. And there's several occasions in the Old Testament. The most notable one is that of Passover, right? So they had to make the mark of the Tav, so that this angel of destruction would pass over them. So that's the seal of death. That's the kill, if you will, right? Bind, kill, and then we have Kof, which it's pictographic meaning, means like occulted illusion, descent, obfuscation. So again, that's the torture, right? The torture is the unknown. It's not necessarily the immediate pain you're going through right now, but what your torturer may do. So it's this is how this is how governments even structure their societies, through fear. It's the fear.
So beta cough is also part of the checking the child's testicles to make sure that the experiment is justified, that they can even have discourse at all to go out on the playing field. So turn your head and cough for checking children's male children. Women don't go through this. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it was ever necessary. I think we're being initiated into an Asclepian cult, especially if you read what the old Hippocratic Oath was. The pantomiming of a doctor checking the child's balls is it's a bribe. They're pantomiming a bribe. You turn your head to the side, don't look at me in the eyes, and accept what I'm giving you, and cough uncomfortably. It's totally ritualistic. There's no medical. They never saved any child from any hernia. They just exposed them to the doctor gets to cup your balls, and that might be useful. There might be something to teaching children to trust the doctor at a young age, so that if you're in an emergency and you need your pants ripped off and your leg cut off, you're not going to fight the doctor, right? So there is a buck breaking to turn your head and cough, BTK, beta cough, right? I'm going to freak everybody out because not only is BTK 222 this character from MASH, but what was the character's Enneagram score? Let's go back and see where did radar land in the Enneagram? Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry about the epileptic opportunity here. Here we go. What was radar's score on the Enneagram? Oh, he's a number 2. Okay, all right, forbearance. Yeah, all right. He's a giver with the shadow of luciferic pride and a remedial virtue of magnanimity, which means greatness of soul, or forbearance, which is not the same as forgiveness. Number 2s have a hard time with forgiveness, but they can grin and bear it. They can carry on, we'll say, and still provide for everybody else. Ain't that a trip? Ain't that a damn trip? So Chris is over there breaking down the BTK. I'm over here breaking down MASH, and we're not talking. We're not planning anything. And he shows me the BTK, and I'm looking at this number 2 forbearance of radar. It's a palindrome, right? He can see into the future. That's why he's such a good giver. He anticipates so well.
And that glyph, I think someone said it in chat, but it's like snake eyes too. So you have the 2 right in the B.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yep. It's so true. Whoa.
And that's snake eyes with the Kirk, everything. Yeah.
Well, you even see it with his own eyes. The BTK. You see those predatory eyes. But what's interesting about forbearance and linking it with BTK or Dennis Radar? I was just looking up radar. Where does that term come from? Radar, and so Dennis it literally means Dios. Well, it's Dionysus. It can relate to that. It probably derives from that. So it's follower of Dionysus. So we have the Dionysus. That links back to the donkey. Those 2, I forget the 2 constellations now. Someone help me out. But those mythologically, I believe, carried Dionysus. And And so you've got that, and moreover as well, you have radar, which is it could come from the old High German rat, which is to give counsel or advice, or rode. This is Middle English, meaning to clear the land or a clearing. It can
Wow.
also relate to a wheel, to, the satyr wheel, to keep the wheel turning, to keep these cycles going vis-a-vis the tav or the harvest. It's absolutely crazy when you look into some of these things. All of it shows that there is a factor X to it, right? Like what he was saying, there's a supernatural element interwoven within it, which of course it links to psychological warfare, but the
Mm.
psyche itself is almost like this reality generating machine, and the entire idea of the system itself is that it is an engine of extraction of this reality machine, right? It's sort of encouraging you in certain thought patterns to establish a new reality, yeah, and I think that probably relates to the factor X that he's talking about.
Yeah. You just reminded me. I'm so glad you mentioned the radar. It pings hard for me. Right? Radar joke. It pings very hard for me that you mentioned that the island of Malta had invented a brilliant innovation in its time, that they were using these stone slabs with concave surfaces cut into the stone out on the islands in the water of the Mediterranean, and they were pointing them at such an angle that they were actually picking up sonic information from vast distances just with these stone cut shapes, these bowls pointed to the sky. And this particular method was state of the art for its time, and it only was state of the art for 1 year, because then the military invented what we use today as radar. And so it was only for 1 year that these stone slabs were state of the art, cutting edge, the cutting edge of radar. And then a bunch of people come and do electronic mechanics, right? But what is fascinating about this little part of history is it proves that radar, or what that sonic capability, was available for so long. And all the mysteries of Malta is probably telling us that they just brought it up again from way back in the day. They could have done it at any point way back when. So yeah, radar may not be as new as a lot of people think.
Yeah, these are just essentially there's a theory that a good friend of mine has, and essentially he states that all of the things that we're seeing in society, all of these developments, they're essentially just, it's this recursive loop and of blueprints. All of these things are blueprints that just constantly repeat themselves because they're psychologically compatible, right? And like what we're saying, radar, for instance, in that respect, all of it is interwoven in a sort of linguistic, grand Freudian slip. The system is telling you in a way. In fact, I guess it's telling you in pop culture, um,
Yeah.
and all of that, what it's about.
I'm probably overused this word, but it's because it's a good word. Promulgation.
Hmm.
Promulgation. And when a pomegranate hits the ground and the seeds go everywhere, you can actually trace where the seeds have gone. The information leaves a trail as the arils roll out. And so I think of pomegranates exploding when they hit the earth when I think of promulgation. But that I think what you're saying about pop culture, that's pop culture, you know.
Exactly. Just like the separation of the wheat from the chaff, it pops out of the cocoon, if you will, or the envelope of the shell. Yeah.
Totally.
What's interesting as well is that I'm seeing in the comments we're mentioning the Charles Kirkland and Snake Eye thing, just in relation to the Kirk event. there's actually another one with the Titanic, and you see this quite a lot with these events. So with the sinking of the Titanic, there was an interesting sort of, I guess you would call it a predictive programming or social priming novel that was released prior. I forget how many years now. So the Titanic was 1912, and yeah, the wreck of the Titan, or also known as Futility, was released in 1898. So that's 14 years prior to the sinking of the Titanic. And it was written by Morgan Robertson, and it eerily foretold, almost, I mean, to the exact details,
Yes.
what the hell went on with the wreck of the Titanic, as opposed to, of course, the wreck of the Titan. So these things aren't mere coincidences. They're almost like the system telling you what its makeup is, what it is itself. This sort of echo of an echo.
I see it, bro. I see it. I got another word that I'm probably misusing, but I'm okay with that. Bildungsroman is a German word. Bildungsroman, and it's not spelled. It's just Bildingssromang. It's got Oprah's Minge on the end of it. Bildungsroman. And Bildungsroman means a novel construction inside of a story, kind of like the Greeks used to call steganography a page within a page. Steganography is a page within a page that only the inside click can actually have depth perception on a two-dimensional image. Same thing with Bildungsroman. You don't need paper. This is not in book form. A Bildungsroman can be it can be as simple as using poetic meter at a certain time in the story. So that, like, you're just telling a story, but all of a sudden you break into a certain meter for this part of the story, and then you go back to telling the story normal. Well, you put a curiosity into the pattern, and the curiosity can be informed on levels that people can actually take in and never give themselves the credit for being so genius. And so I talk about the sky folding of the Bildungsroman, and I think that is a lot of these hermetically self-referential patterns we're seeing through all the arts.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. That's a brilliant point. Again, it's almost like there was something I came across recently, and it's this term that's called metatronic reversal, and basically the idea is that the metatronic order is the system of, like, what we're talking about. The sun comes up from the dawn, it goes down at twilight, and you have this sort of cycle, right? But the metatronic reversal is, again, like the meta theater. It's like the play within a play. It's the system within a system, that the Matryoshka doll type thing. And the metatronic reversal is almost the corrupting, the artificial corrupting of that. I guess you would call it celestial cycle, right? Of the meta cycle. So it's yeah. I mean that's essentially, you could argue that's civilization. That's the model of civilization. It's a model of metatronic reversal.
Yeah.
It sounds very almost like what Tracy Twyman was talking about in Genuflect, how this cult is trying to invert basically everything, kind of like a Sabbatean sort of way, using this cult of Mithras sort of ritual sacrifice to then destroy the universe and create a universe of their own.
Well, that's Dionysus as well, essentially.
Yeah,
on the
they're
back
the same.
of the commerce, yeah.
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 Yep. It's also all of the Mormons, when they die, they get to go be the god of the whole universe all to themselves. And it's also the foundation of the Green Lantern League. I think each Green Lantern is kind of a representative of their own universe in the League. It's kind of I am kind of stunned to think that the Green Lantern plot is customized for Mormons. Yeah, I really do. I think there's a lot to that, and I don't have time to flush it all out, but I suspect it is absurd. Therefore, I believe it.
Do you know what's weird about that as well? I'm a fan of the Elder Scrolls series,
Oh
that
yeah,
video game series, and the lore behind that. There's an idea in it that Michael Kirkbride, which is he created most of the lore for the series, and there's an idea called Dream Slave. And essentially, the idea is that when you die and leave Mundus, right, or the Earth, essentially you go into this sort of liminal state where you transition over into the dream sleeve, and basically you become reabsorbed into the godhead who is dreaming. And well, essentially the idea is that you create new universes yourself if you've reached a certain, point or pinnacle of transcend. It sounds like the Mormon or Green Lantern idea that you're bringing up there. Weirdly enough, that's that's sort of weird.
yeah. It's very weird. I actually, let's see. I'm going to share a graphic from. Well, yeah, just to kind of support my thinking. This is from, I think last time I was on with Zeralath on my last episode. I shared. Have you guys watched the most recent Superman?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that was
I've
another
not- I
reason
haven't
when I
watched it.
brought up the Mithras stuff, because they depict Mithras with a cape, a red cape.
Big time.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so there's the uh, Green Lantern League arrives. I believe it's a 3-person league, and this I think is DC's anode to the Fantastic Four of Marvel. So the Fantastic Four are blue. It's the Marvel derivation, and in DC Comics, the Green Lantern League is kind of like their derivative of the Fantastic Four. And so in that scene of the most recent, they have this big monster that's attacking the city, and the Green Lantern League has to. They're using non-lethal measures for a larger attacking force, right? And we're rooting for the guys who are using non-lethal measures against a large attacking force in the park, wrangled into the park of the city. And at one point, this actor, is actually the pilot, the captain from Firefly. The actor that they bring out of to play this very hokey. Oh, it's campy. That's right. The whole scene is campy, and they're gonna find incredibly innovative ways to torment this animal. And one of the things they agree upon is their main strategy is a divisive attack of the gaze. And so this captain of the Firefly vessel, Serenity, he makes this weird ass machine that opens up the eyes like MK Ultra Clockwork Orange, and then it pummels the eyeball repeatedly. And this is the divisive attack of the gays. And that's exactly what happened with the Kirk event. They decided, oh, yeah, he knew somebody who might be a swinging clown on puppet strings named Twix, something Twix. So, yeah, I think these are first editions or early issues of Green Lantern. And guess what happened on the same week? The one of the oldest Mormons ever dies at the age of, watch my mouse here, at the age of 101. The oldest Mormon dies. 101. So that's some of my threads on how Green Lantern is deep coded to the Mormon ethos. Maybe mythos more so. Mythos more so.
Well, even the 101, that also appeared in Fallout 3, funnily enough, just on Bethesda games. But I believe 101 also appears in one of Kubrick's films. I forget now, but the 101 is that idea of the Kabbalistic system, and how they view the cosmic system, which is this ein or zero in this nothing state in the center. And even on the donkey, that this nothing state could be linked to the mysterious stranger of Mark Twain. And in that story, we have Theodore Fisher. And I mean, that name itself is encoded with an etymological meaning that relates to a deeper esoteric concept. But bypassing all of that, he lives in Esseldorf, which in German literally means, well, Assville, essentially, or Donkey Town. So
Wow.
Assville or Donkey Town. So you
But
have the donkey there as well.
Not Butler. Not Butler?
Oh,
Butler.
snap. Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's yeah.
So I got one more thread here on the 101. This is also correspondent to the periodic number for salt is 11. Sodium is number 11. And this event took place in Salt Lake City, Polywannaquacka, Rhetorica. Even the parrot is a symbol of rhetoric because it can break your ears. The macaw, right? The macaw has the most piercing sound. So it's also a symbol of the public speaker, a powerful public speaker that can do damage with words. And then I'm just going to cruise through. Let's see. Okay. If you guys don't mind.
Yeah. Keep going.
Okay. I can't see you right now. So it's all nonverbal cues or only verbal cues. So you guys remember Pete Hegseth had to bring in all the fatties and tell them to get in shape?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was quite a while ago. So yeah, the Maha movement is fully militarized, y'all. It is fully militarized. I'm a little alarmed at what that could lead to. But a long time back, I watched I think it's Matrix 4, whatever the most recent one, the lamest of them all. I finally ended up watching it, and they revamped all of the staff on purpose for optimized provocation. But one of the characters is this actor here that my mouse is on. He's just a no-name John Smith, a random arrival on the celebrity scene. And he has a moment in his character arc where he wakes up to his true nature. And it's during a fire.
Oh, by the way,
yeah,
that guy actually is the lead in Mindhunter, who chases after BTK in season 2.
No. Oh, geez. Wow.
The last season, the final season of it. There's BTK is running around.
And this is BTK's apprehender?
Honestly, I didn't even watch this. I only watched the first season, but I'm pretty sure they do, I would assume. I mean, they were hinting at him being in the second season the whole time, and I would assume he would have to. Well, BTK actually doesn't get caught till 2000, so no, he probably isn't around in the bureau anymore at that point.
So this character in the Matrix, he has his apotheosis or self-actualization in the fire sprinklers are going off in the bureau. And so there's a leak in the building, and he has to solve the leak, just like Pete Hegseth in his bio. So this, the aspecting of the Matrix and this character and Pete Hegseth are deeply bound together. Hegseth calls in all the fatties to make them take lie detector tests on how much McDonald's are they really eating. Lie detector tests are that's Scientology technology. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just had to put the Scientology on blast.
I mean, it's going to come up more and more.
Yeah, they rose to the top a long time ago. And, miscarriage here, this miscarriage of justice is iconically in front of his own insane asylum, much like the Joker is in front of Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, buddy.
I was going to mention just really quickly as well in the Salt Lake City thing. So in alchemy, you have sal or salt. That also relates to the vessel or the body. And similar to what you were saying, Chris, remember what was it called? Teractony, which is the sacrifice of the bull by Mithras. The bull itself is the earth. So it's the idea that to break free from the system, to become the Dionysian promise or the Luciferian promise, the Promethean resurrection, you have to, of course, sacrifice the earth. To break free from the egg, you have to destroy the shell, and all of these ideas are related to that. The salting of a crisis, the salting of the earth. This idea that we've been discussing, the crisis seeding. I guess you would call it hypothesis, right? Where you're seeding the popular culture, the landscape itself, to thus affect the internal landscape of the minds of the people who sup from the media. Yep.
Yeah, well said. Very well said. So right away when the event happened, my anagram mind jumps into action, and I already have a million weaves on Rorschach from the Watchers. But the phonetic anagram hiding out in that name is like Rorschach. And this is the literal anagram. This is not phonetic. This is the actual anagram at the bottom. And so I go back and I watch, what is the final scene? What is the result of Rorschach in the Watchers? Have you guys seen Watchmen? Both of you?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have,
Okay.
yeah.
You might. Well, I sent you the clip, Chris, so you watched it recently, right? Those last 5 minutes of
Yeah.
Rorschach's life. I highly recommend. I'm not going to run people through the video and go step by step with the details. I highly recommend everybody just look up Rorschach's death scene and pay close attention to how it is exactly like Kirk. And sure enough, when Rorschach's head explodes and he turns into a splat in the woods, this face is the agony. This is the Oedipician agon face when he explodes. This suffering on this character, his best Batman buddy, that suffering on his face when Rorschach dies is imprinted in the trauma of the teachable moment in the scene. And he looks a whole lot like this dude over here, who was the last person to debate Charlie when his head explodes. And it's about 7 days later that this dude over here is grilling Robert Shellman, or I don't know. No. This guy here is actually grilling one of Charlie Kirk's
Megyn
survivors.
Kelly.
That's it, Megyn Kelly. He's grilling her very directly. He's speaking extremely penetrating truth in this moment. And this guy looks like that guy that looks like this guy as the penetrating truth is being displayed. And I want to say something I'm picking up on. I actually have kind of adjusted my understanding of the realm of forms in Plato's metaphysics. It turns out we might be speaking just a little off the best path to address what is the realm of forms. The word forms is not the best term. It might be more accurate if we use the realm of aspecting. The realm of aspecting. And ever since I allowed myself to see the realm of forms as the realm of aspecting, I can see all of these faces and how it's not explicit, but it is deeply implicit that there is commonality to the flavor of the trauma to these faces.
Fractal masking.
Fractal masking. Big up, Silas. Y'all.
I have another thing to tell you.
Yeah, I just want to say this is dank conversation. These are dank conversations. I just love it.
So the guy who played the new Agent Smith, who played the guy who was trying to catch BTK, also played Dionysus.
Jeez.
In I think it was like an award-winning Shakespeare in the Park type of public theater that he won a bunch of stuff for. Yeah.
What a trip.
You honestly couldn't make up this stuff. It's so, like, literally, that's the Latin phrase, prorsus credibilitas quia ineptimis. I believe it because it's absurd or unsuitable. It destroys Occam's razor because you can't believe things just based upon their simplicity, or you're not living in that. You're living in a hyper reality, the Metatronic reversal. So everything's topsy turvy. So you have to look at it that way.
Oh my
So weird.
goodness. Oh
and
my
you know who
goodness.
else was in that with him? Anthony Mackie, the Hawkeye or whatever his name is, right? Or not
No.
Hawkeye,
From MASH?
not Hawkeye. Who took over for Terrence Howard in Iron Man? What's his name? I don't know. I can't remember these characters' names. The guy who plays the dude with the wings, who became the new
Yes.
Captain America.
Yeah, Sam is his character name. Sam the
What is his superhero name? Birdman? No.
well, he's
What-
Captain America now, but what
Now,
was it? The
yeah.
Falcon. He was the Falcon.
There you go.
Falcon,
Yeah.
that's the-
Yep.
So yeah, he was with the Dionysian guy, Dionysus.
Right on. So this graphic here, I think a lot of people follow these, little turns in the cultural road. Lionel Richie says Michael Jackson was so famous that people would ... blank check. But anyway, Lionel Richie, King Richard was lionized. Lionize means to treat someone as a celebrity or regard them as great interest or importance. And look at this guy's plastic surgery going on. He is fully lionized, right? And they're talking about Michael, who is also fully lionized. In plastic surgery, it actually garners over time more and more lion-like features with plastic surgery.
Oh,
Well, then you have the lion-faced figure that's always with the Mithras cult.
And check it out, y'all. Check it out. Advanced leprosemia, like really heavy cases of leprosy, yield a change of their face so that they begin to look like cat humans. And if you look into that, it gets really creepy, crazy looking like aliens, like Leonids, right? Like they're the Lyrians.
Wasn't there that one celebrity who really started looking like that? I can't remember who it was though.
There's a lot of them anymore. There's a whole lot of them. And so what's creepy is that we are supposed to believe that they're merely getting facial surgery that makes them looking like a lion is an improvement, right? Or they're fashioning our sense of beauty. Some people, not me. But check out how King Richard has the big black nose. And if you flip it upside down, it's Lionel Richie's mustache. And the reason this is synchrosignificant to my work as I focus on the Thoth deck primarily is that the artist of the Thoth deck was the daughter of a very elite facial surgeon. And he was in the Fellowship of Royal Colleges of Surgeons, FRCS. And Lady Frida Harris is notorious. She was actually grilled by Crowley because she's terrible at making faces. It's actually one of her biggest weak spots. She's been hanging out with the Dadists too long. So I just find that very fascinating that these guys are lionizing the facial surgery people.
Mm-hmm.
And she has, that means that her family has access to a lot of people who wanted to not leave the stage, but have a change of costume and come live their life in disguise, right? Mission Impossible style.
It's also even the Leontocephaline or the lion-faced Hierophant, the revealer of the sacred. It's you brought it up, Chris, but of course that links back to Rorschach, and Kirk was roaring from this tent of the meeting, or you could call it a shack, right? So so you have all of these things. I mean, even in the idea of Leviticus and its ritualistic sacrificial laws, it discusses it literally uses the Hebraic. Well, it's translated from Hebrew as the tent of the meeting. So it's all of these things. It's was that Leviticus 4:7, and then he had the 47s on the caps. You could. It's just so. It literally is so preposterous. I mean, you couldn't make this up. Yeah.
It is so profound. So the Festival of Boots, or Sukkot. This is I want to say this, like, let's say I was a practitioner of these traditions. It's not required for me to know why. It's not required for me to know why. It's just performative, right? And so what I'm about to say is not talking to people who are performative of this culture. What I'm about to say is causal. I'm speaking over the pay grade of the practitioner. I'm speaking directly to the priest because I know why. The Festival of Booths takes place as the sun is aligning with my favorite constellation is the Buotes constellation. Let's see if I can get in closer.
Arcturus.
Arcturus. Yeah. This is the nautical star for the Filipino uh, uh, people. This would kind of be their version of a North Star, right? So their mythology, they can tell the same stories, but it centers on this one for them down there. But Buotes is shaped like a kite, and it has Corona Borealis right here. And he also could reach out just ever so slightly to Coma Berenices right here is a very sharp right angle. And so the Festival of Booths is in the time of year that the sun is going by Buotes. And Buotes is a great void. It's a maximal darkness within all of the darkness already up there. There's a darker darkness in the darkness, and it is Buotes. And so going into covenant or an awning or a tent, like you said, it is highly zodiacal. It is so highly zodiacal. And I have some graphics I'll bring around to Buotes in a moment. But isn't that fascinating that even in another culture, the word sounds they use are high fidelity to the stars, right? So yeah, Festival of Booths and Sukkot, that information I just said, it's not for the practitioners to have a clue about. It's over their head. Understand?
Exactly.
And were you're saying boots or booths?
It is a fascinating phonetic.
Because there's a show on Netflix that just came out called Boots about the 90s in Desert Storm. I think it's like a war movie incorporates gay culture and stuff like that, it seems like from the trailer. But basically like the don't ask, don't tell laws and all that stuff. But it's like it looks like that.
Wow.
So I mean, Netflix is like right on this stuff, even if they don't intend to be. But I feel like they do intend to be.
And that's it. I think okay, this is important. Like just like you said, that they're onto it even if they're not trying. And I think, Silas, what we're talking about the sub-scaffolding of the hermetically sealed self-referential Bildungsströmung, you don't have to know that this is how it works. You could just passively participate and you're still lining up to the surface level of a deeper substructure that I think is very astronomical.
With Buotes as well in Arcturus, we also saw that in several events. There was one in 2022 of the Parkland event with Cremo. I believe he was he known as Arcturus? Was that his like rap name? But anyway, he used an endless cross design, and that was actually used recently again in the it was that Minnesota shooting event with Robin Westman, I think, and also Robin Westman also included the chariot as well. He literally stated in his journal just prior to going on this killing spree essentially. He stated, "Let's get this chariot going." That was the title of the final journal entry. So of course that links with Kabbalah and Merkaba and the cosmic structure and all of this.
Oh man! All right, I wasn't going to say it because it's convoluted. Mm-hmm. Therefore, I believe it. So I tracked 20 major meteor showers, and I have not even engaged with this artifact of the event yet. But you brought it up. You mentioned the chariot. 9-1 every year is the pinnacle of the Auriga meteor shower. Auriga is
Oh,
Ericthonius
yes.
Hephaestus, the
Yeah.
charioteer, the innovator, the
Wow.
Vulcan, the forge guy. And it's the pinnacle on 9-1, and it runs a long time. That meteor shower is a long window. So it was actually going for weeks before, and it's probably still going right now. And so the mention of the charioteer, he's lighting up with his own special light show.
Mhm.
And I think it's almost over. We probably got a little ways.
That yeah, I mean, all of this appears to, like what you're saying, because the celestial event is the tabernacle, is the canopy around us. We can't help but almost passively, reflect that in the microcosm. And it's interesting because Arcturus as well also appears, and there was a really famous set of, I guess this ties in with BTK and the Factor X. There was a really famous set of, I should say infamous set of killings in Chicago in 1955. They appeared ritualized because there was very faint etchings on the victims
It's the
of
child murder, or
the child murders. There was about five of them or so, and there was etchings on the victims of basically, if you map it out, it's Arcturus, Coma Berenices. There's another one below Coma Berenice, the hunting dog. I forget.
Yep. The Canis Venetici.
Canis Venetici, and then of course, then we had the circular Ursa Minor and Ursa Major, and it's that because he actually, whoever did it, or they had scored into it bear, so
Whoa.
in capital letters, obviously indicating it's Ursa Major, the big bear. So this is something that obviously they are, I guess, hooked on, if you will, this Arcturus Boetes connection.
Yes. So in Milton's Paradise Lost, Satan has given him, he manipulates the council so that inductively he will be the one sent to Earth to screw with the most recent creation, his prized garden. And when he comes to Earth, so when I read Milton, I'm walking through the stars, y'all. I walk through the stars with all these stories, especially the epics. And so when Satan has to come down to Earth, he goes through the adamantine gate. So I'm like, adamantine gate, what the hell is that? And you got to look it up, and there's a million people tell you a million things. But essentially, it means diamond-like. It is diamond-like. And sure enough, there is a great diamond asterism, and it is exactly in the location we're talking about, Silas. Satan from Milton's Paradise Lost crosses through the adamantine gate and sees his daughter and death on the way, and that's all stellar. It's all stellar. But that is the portal that he comes through. But it makes sense because guess what time of year we're going into?
the fall.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm just sharing this because I wanted to share it before we moved on. But I mean, you could even see the aspects of BTK and what's going on with the figure here of the. I mean, it really, some say it's Ahriman, like or at least a form of it. But this is the lion-headed figure that is connected to the cult of Mithras. And you have even Mercury and the cock and the key. Everything you guys were discussing before is all within the binded figure who is bound by the serpent. So yeah, just wanted to bring that up before we moved on.
Right. And like, the trauma of the seed of the trauma becomes the fruit of the marketplace. And so we've all digested the BTK. And now what is the new wave of the future that everybody's going to put all their faith into? Something sounds a lot like BTK coin, Bitcoin.
Well, it's worth noting that the crypto.com or Kronos coin is a lion, like the logo's a lion face.
Yeah. Do you know what's interesting as well? You were mentioning Milton's Paradise Lost. I think he describes hell as darkness made visible. And if you look into algorithm and its etymology, it also relates to Zervan. Again, this is from just recollection I've got in my notes, but it relates to Zervan. I believe it's an epithet of Zervan. Al-Khwarizm. That's the etymological root, and it basically means the black land, or from the darkness, from the dark land. So the algorithm literally, again, like alchemy, alchemia, from the blackness,
Yeah.
the putrefaction. It's from the darkness. It's the darkness made visible through the the codes, the Kodesh, the
Yeah.
holy language of light. It's so interesting.
It's so. Can you say the word one more time for me?
Algorithm, Al-Khwarizm. So
Aught-astic.
it's similar to it's similarly spelt to the Khwarezmian dynasty.
Okay. I'm gonna put a pin in that word for myself, because I need to go back and find the word that Polyphemus screams when the stick gets stuck in his eye. He says a very unique. He has unique word choice for being in an emergency situation, and he uses the word for mother's pains, which would mother in reverse is rhythm. Algo is the suffering, mother suffering. So I wonder if the word you're looking at, Silas, is a hail to Zerban. I wonder if there's, for the inside click, an indication that Polyphemus knows Saravan, right? And maybe his crying out for in pain sounds like mother's woes, but maybe he's calling to a god for those who can hear it.
Very interesting.
Polyphemus is the number 8 controller, domineer with a remedial virtue of chastity to the church, but sympathy for me.
Very interesting. It's there's a hell of a lot as well, and this is why I like etymology. There's a hell of a lot you can learn about how words form and how their meaning forms, because basically what you're delving into, almost in an archaeological way, is how people think, how they're thinking about these things, and because words themselves convey meaning, and they convey the meaning itself is a concept, sort of set in stone. So it's all of these things are they actually have profound wisdom just contained in them. Yeah.
I love to point out that the most rarefied definition of a word, the most rarefied definition, has the highest value, the most potency. So when they tell you that a word is arcanely used, this, that, and the other way, we don't do that anymore. Well, that rarefies the value of the word. It has that much more potency because it's not commonplace. It's not for the gregarious. It's for the sober.
Exactly, and even civilizations themselves disseminated from a minority, a priestly class. They created the thought field. They created the meta and the meta.
Somebody just called out my new hairdo. Yeah, got my ears increased.
It's looking slick, man. It's looking slick.
I gotta live up to it. It was getting a little ratty there. So I got a few more graphics if you guys don't mind.
Go ahead.
Yeah, bro.
Silas, you got class in the morning or anything?
No, I'm actually off this week. It's reading week, so.
Oh.
Must be nice. Must be nice. It's reading week.
Yeah, let's fucking party, Silas. Let's go for 5 hours. So let me see. I'm going to be a little choosy, just a little choosy, and start with this one because this is a graphic I use on it in one we'll move to next. So, are you guys familiar with the Nescafe commercial at the end of the JFK event?
No, I'm not actually. No.
Okay. All right. Well, again, I'm not going to take everybody through through looking it up and watching it. You're going to have to take my word on it. It is the single strongest case for MK Ultra in the teachable moment. And it's so profound that it's been forgotten. It is so profound that it has been forgotten. But the commercial after the JFK announcement to the world is this crazy ass Nescafe commercial where they start off with a pendulum in the background behind a cup of coffee swinging. So you're already getting hypnotized. The commercial is exactly 60 seconds long. They're talking about making your coffee in 60 seconds, and they promise the 1 minute and they fulfill the 1 minute exactly. And the whole time, not only is the pendulum in the background hypnotizing the masses, but the spoon that they use to stir the coffee and tap the bell, ding, 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 on the cup. It is so Pavlovian. It is over the top. It is utterly over the top. And to kick it off, the logo of Nescafe is a rifle, a smoking gun, a steaming barrel. And so what you have down below is a Nescafe logo from that commercial and an image of the actual evidence from the Rabbit Warren Commission. And in the Rabbit Warren Commission, this piece of evidence has a shadow of dots. The evidence is riddled with a shadow of dots. Can you see my mouse here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a falsification. Is this AI art? Why is there a shadow of dots? Because they're instilling the shadow of doubt, right? So this shadow of dots goes back to the Rabbit Warren Commission. And
Which
sure
is
enough,
they just did the same thing with the Kirk stuff with the guy running on the roof, and the shadow is gone
yeah,
in one
buddy.
part of it, and everyone's like, "There's no shadow."
Yeah, history more than rhymes, more
Yeah.
than rhymes. So I wanted to share this because the object coming on everybody's radar for 1 day exactly, this is what it looked like. And the next day it was 5 objects, and the next day it's something else. So we're in the mutable age. Don't expect 3-eye atlas to be anything you thought it was tomorrow. And I want to, I went the wrong way. I want to stay a little consistent because, here we go. Okay, so this is the Nescafe commercial up here that I was just talking about, right? And this is the murder weapon of the shared trauma event from, where were you in 63? 63rd triangular number, 2016. Where were you in 63? Sure enough, this most recent trauma event with a rifle in question was swaddled up, much like a very crucial moment in the sacred texts when Mary swaddles the divine baby, right? And so if you go and you look up, like, what is the pathos of the swaddling clothes of the divine infant? What is the pathos of that part of the mythos? And I'll just read it. Like Jesus, we are often obliged to endure both physical and moral anguish. We have the resignation to offer it all to Jesus, or do we squander our opportunities in useless complaining or in acts of impotence or rebellion? Is that a Socratic question? Because I'm happy to answer it. We will have to go on suffering anyway, but in the latter case, we may have to suffer even more and shall lose all men in the sight of God. That's what happened when they put the masks. When they put on masks, we lost all men in the sight of God. That's pretty profound, that little pathos to what the swaddling clothes mean. But for me, I was thinking of gird your loins. How to gird your loins. Do you guys know about girding your loins when you wear togas?
No, but I think we do something similar with kilts, actually, the Great Kilt, funnily enough.
Tell me about it.
Well, you can wear the great kilt, which is far different from the sort of official, formal, recent kilt design, which arguably looks more like a skirt. But the old kilt was you could wear it very long like that, like almost like a long tunic. But you could also tie it around. Well, there's certain ways to tie it, but you like what you're seeing here. You're sort of you're exposing your legs more. You're turning it into shorts essentially.
Yeah. Getting your ass kickers ready.
Exactly. Yeah.
So gird up your loins is also biblical and tactical. However, when the lockdowns were happening, this word was a particular trigger phrase for me. The guidelines. The guidelines. And remember, fame, she who increases and furthers information, fama, is lionizing heroes, right? So the guide lions were telling everybody almost the same thing about the swaddling of the divine infant. If I read the pathos of the divine infant and I read the definition of the guidelines, a guideline is a statement by which to determine a course of action, it aims to streamline particular processes according to a set routine or sound practice. Or sound practice. Are we going to squander our opportunities in useless complaining or in acts of impotence and rebellion? Sound practices. They have sound devices to spread the crowd if they care to. They must be issued by and used by any organization. Oh, excuse me. They may be issued by and used. Meaningful and useful are synonymous. And use to make the actions of its employees or divisions more predictable and presumably of higher quality. And then you can look up what the girding of your loins is. And I'm not going to drag you guys through all of this, but it's pretty much the same damn thing. The gird loins of the guidelines of swaddling that rifle and getting everybody ready for conflict, for ass kicking.
It's also as well. You have the Nescafe fire right at the end, right? This the smoking barrel, and so you have the N and the Z. You also find a similar thing on the central axis of the Sator square, right? The tenet part. So the N, which is the 14th layer, again 7 and 7, and the Z, which is the 26, which is the value of the tetragrammaton. So there's probably a connection there, but the fire itself looks like the yod.
Yeah, man.
Always looks like the yod. These sparks of divinity, the dots or the doubts, and even Nestle itself to nestle, which is to create or to occupy a nest. So it's again, it's relating back to the world egg and these concepts. And you brought it up as well, Chris, with the BTK and the leontocephaline. The serpentine coiling of the serpent up the body of the leontocephaline, the mithraic. Oh God, there's another term. Basically, the Zervan. You see, so you have the three parts, right? The head, which is Janus or Leo, which is the soul, which is the solar gateway, the cosmic gateway, and then you have that of the. It's usually always wrapped 4 times. This serpent, again, the form mutable signs, which contains the 5th immutable sign. So you also see that in the papal crown. It has 4. It basically looks like a coiled serpent. It has 4 layers to it, and it's shaped like an egg as well. So again, perhaps there's a connection between Nestle or Nestle, the nest, the egg, all of this.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And also in reverse, it's affection. Affection. It's affection.
Yes.
It's affection,
Yes.
right? She's swaddling the child. And this one is kind of this is a hot mess, but I don't mind sharing it. This is a hot mess, but I do not mind sharing it. Have you guys heard of Tilly Norwood?
I think
I've not, no.
I've seen something about it. Maybe it was even what you posted, and then it
Yeah.
might have popped up on my algorithm too.
The thing that gets me is everybody's rope-a-dope from Conspiracy Christmas ever since the ear castration. It's been Conspiracy Christmas off the wall. And it actually seems like they caught the zeitgeist in a moment of exhaustion to announce the first AI movie star. And her name is Tilly Norwood. And you know me. She got that word Lenora right there in her name, Lenore. And Lenore is one of Hedjar Elon Foe's oldest poems. You guys know the poem of Lenore?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and also the word till. I want to obviously that's where we put our fecundity. It's where you deposit your fecundity in the till, right?
You also till the soil as well before planting, before seeding.
Yeah, she all right. She all right. So, yeah, in the controversy around her, I want to say this. I'm kind of I find it interesting that people really don't give a shit. People are like, meh, whatever. A lot of people are actually probably convinced that a lot of Hollywood is already AI art. What's the big deal? This is the Overton frog water. And then this is a wild one. I feel late to this party, but the word vaccine is so meaningful. In a cave, in a cave. We're in a cave, but it's also a nice cave. It's not any cave. This is the nice cave. Have you guys seen this graphic with Plato's allegory of the cave before?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
There's also the expanded one with the Flammarion. It's sort of placed on top of it as well.
Totally. Yeah. I love Plato's allegory of the cave. I think it's really fascinating that the movie theater is like the actualize the manifest, right? It's the Plato's cave and the manifest. But what's trippy is when I laid out the letters of these symbols, I was like, I wonder if there's a fun anagram in ABC, MTV, CNN, and sure enough, vaccine to be continued. Maybe I'm cynical. And then this is important, Silas. I think you and I we see this a lot, right? You see Kybernetes a lot. The
Yeah,
helmsman.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The
Yep.
steer.
Yep. The governor, the cybernetics. It's a horrible, it's really a large image. It's hard to read when it's this big. But I want to focus on some of the less appreciated. Remember what I said about the rarefied truth of a definition? The less gregarious and the more sober it is, the more potency it has.
Mm-hmm.
So Kybernetes is a container orchestrator or a cluster manager. That's just a fascinating little tweak to what I thought I knew about it. Container Kilipoth orchestrator,
Yes.
right?
Well, even the Sephira, which is the vessel. So you have that idea, and as well we were talking about the Yod. So the sparks of divinity, right? Again, the same as the lion's head. So the sparks of the soul, which are sort of thrust into this solar cycle. We were talking, I think, on another discussion with the soul. So you have the soul, which in Latin is the sun, and then you have the soul R. The R is the resh. It's the pictographic. It's pictographic meaning. It's hieroglyphic. Root is that of the head. So it's all connected. It's so the container orchestrator. We also brought the cargo cult as well, which basically, like what you're saying, is how religions seed themselves, and germinate and sow their seeds, spread their seeds. And then the cluster manager also links with the stellar. notions, astronomy, astrotheology, and all of this.
Bingo, bingo, bango. I dig it. You know, I find it really fun to not just know the constellations, but to actually get into asterisms as well. Asterisms are like a whole nother dimension of stars um, that reward. They reward. They are also artifacts of art. The asterisms, not just minor decans and major zodiacs. There's also these asterisms are kind of in the gray space, the liminal, and a lot of them are up and running. They're fully up and running. They're very geometric too. And then I got to share this one. We talked last time that we were all together, right? About off of the coast of Oslo, Norway, Edmund Munch. Did I say that right? Edmund? Yeah, Edmund Munch. He paints The Scream, one of the most iconic nihilistic paintings of all time. He is in this location. This is the location where he was overwhelmed with a sense of dread that 1,000 voices had called out in agony and were suddenly silenced. And there's an ominous sky turned red that day, and he's overwhelmed with nihilistic angst, and he almost passes out on the boardwalk. And this is that moment. This is him doing a self-portrait of like this overwhelming sense that something horrible in the universe just reached him, and he just got the memo. And sure enough, if you go and look into what is the causality of that angst, it is said that Krakatoa had just erupted and was sending 7 streams of smoke around the realm. That is the 7 streams of the river Styx in Hades, the 7 times around the realm. It's totally the river Styx. So I believe that Edmund Munch's very, very famous painting is the foundation, the original to Lady Frida Harris's Stela of Revealing Aeon card that old lackluster Crowley had a big stiffy for. And this painting here is Nietzsche, done by Edmund Munch. This is the same artist doing painting of Nietzsche in the same motif. And it's called The Shrek or The Scream. And do you guys remember this? You probably don't. I barely remember The Screaming Mimi. Do you guys even remember that? It was super obscure 80s show.
No, I don't recall that, no.
It's not called, the show is not called, you know what? If the chat knows, this is a really obscure trivia question. If anybody in the chat knows, please put it in the comments or just look it up, I guess. But yeah, it was a very obscure 80s detective ragtag team, kind of like A-Team, but a derivative of the A-Team. And they had a helicopter that is called the Screaming Mimi. And this is what it looked like. And it was kind of the mascot of the show. And I'm just tripping because I didn't know about this painting when they were using this meme in the 80s. And so
it seems like also that's the Scream mask.
Yeah.
Wes Craven's Scream trilogy, which actually connects us back to Friends, even if we really wanted to.
Oh, damn. Oh, damn.
Because what's her name's in it? Courtney Cox.
Yes. And then one thing I guess I should mention with this graphic is, remember, Athanasius Kircher had the theory of the hollow earth, and the entrance to his hollow earth is basically right here. I'm just going to say it. This black spot in this painting is insinuating Athanasius Kircher's nihilistic abyss. If you look into the abyss, Athanasius Kircher looks back at you and gives you a new moniker. You are now Chuck Norris.
And also, regarding Scream, the Scream 3, where it has the fake horror movie within a horror movie within a horror movie thing going on. It's like the simulation, or reality, like we were discussing before.
Right. It's kind of the word meme, and even Mimi. It makes me think of the prophecy written on the king's chamber by the disembodied hand in Daniel 5:5.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like many tekel shekel or I always screw that line up, but I think it has Mimi in it. And it's funny because that's the first prophetic meme.
Mm. Yeah, and memetics is how societies even maintain themselves as ideas. But it's something interesting as well is that you were mentioning about nihilism and even that sort of black spot, right?
Yeah.
And the black spot itself is the potential. It's not, if you think of the mind as tapping into that abyss, that quote, quote, potential, because the mind itself is a probability distribution machine. So it takes the potential and it sort of narrows it. It confines it to the me, right? The double me. So, um, and it basically what we're experiencing now. Again, I'm not saying this to be fact, but what Mark Twain stated in *The Mysterious Stranger* is that, and I'm paraphrasing and sort of summarizing it, we are but a thought. An unusual and strange thought. The mysterious stranger is strange because he is this dweller of the abyss. He is the nothingness, right? He is the conflation of the plus one minus one. He is on all the thresholds of time. He is sort of the meta beyond it, but he's also within. He's the immanence that's contained within. So basically, yeah, that's. By the way, that's something in Kabbalah. That's basically what Kabbalah worships. It reveres this Ein. Everything they do is based around this. Basically the Ein is the equilibrium in a sense.
Yeah, man. We talked about this last time you were on, Silas. My anti-Kabbalah spell is I disavow any association to nouns. I'm a living verb, and I will be a living verb maybe after I'm gone. I might be a living verb after I'm gone. But the Kabbalistic lockdown is definitely embedded in the fact that we associate with the nouns. That's why they put the pronoun psyop, so everybody will clutch their pearls when you don't pronounce words perfectly.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I identify as a verb, and guess what? I'm out of the cube, y'all. I'm dancing free. I'm out of the cube. So, yeah, that's my advice.
Well, the noun is the now as well. They want you stuck in the now constantly, but not necessarily a now as in they don't want you they don't want you introspectively studying yourself, right? In the now, they want you stuck in the now as in just the pure flow, the pure current of time, being caught up in it all.
And isn't it true that after 7 years, every cell in your body after 7 years replaces itself? Is that
Yeah,
how?
yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think
believe
that's
it
it.
is, yeah.
I think that's it. And 7, that's a big to do. That's a big to do, that number 7. So, Putin is a number 7 personality type, and an enthusiast with a shadow of gluttony and the remedial virtue of abstinence. And this was a headline. This top part of the graphic was a headline that came out about a week ago. And sure enough, this is how, minus this 7x7 of the Enneagram graphic, but this is how it was in the news. They've got the Chernobyl over here, or whatever, this nuclear power plant, and over here is him pointing his finger at the camera, breaking the fourth wall. He's gonna Marco Polo. He's Marco Polo. And it was on the 7th when this news headline hit, which was it's the day after the full moon -1. And these are both 7. 16 is a 7. Chariot is a 7. Heavy 7 cards right there. And then this is kind of coming back to the razors. And I have a lot of learning to do regarding the 9 philosophical razors, kind of playing musical chairs as this Newton's flaming laser sword. I I'm still coming to terms with what this might do to my to my worldview. I think that the fake and gay is a nihilistic slogan, and it curtails any deliberation. And I think fake and gay is born out of Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye. It's a Holden Caulfield slogan. The word slogan is a battle cry of the dead. But I think it's not any slogan. I think it's Newton's flaming rainbow sword, because everything is fake and gay. Now we can get to killing.
Even the idea of the flaming sword as well is it's like what you see with, for example, in the Grok AI. People state that it's a black hole, or it's the black hole of the event horizon, or it's Saturn and its rings. And basically, what that is, it's the piercing of the veil. It's the breaking of the egg. So the flaming sword. I mean, there's multiple ways you could interpret it, but it's this idea that it can also be translated as a vibrating sword. So it's basically the frequencies themselves. You're essentially using the word, which are the vessels of ideas, to break apart the world itself. So it's the same idea as salting the earth, or as you were mentioning, Chris, the Tauroctony, the sacrificing of the bull, the sacrificing of the earth.
That's right in that Hierophant card again. All of the Mithra symbolism.
With the
exactly.
Bowl. Yeah. So this is kind of fun. You remember I was telling you fellas about my new computer arrived, and I finally brought the thing to life.
Oh yeah.
Well, it came to life for me on 10/11. It's like a 111 and a 9 in the date. But this is right as Luna passes over Uranus, out of Taurus and into Gemini. And astronomically, this dynamic signifies to me when Luke Skywalker gets his new lightsaber and he's initiated by Obi-Wan Kenobi and finds out the mysteries to go on his adventure with his new tool, his new implement. And sure enough, out in Seattle, the Antifa want to shoot laser beams at helicopters on the same day that I'm contemplating my new tool. And furthermore, what's really kind of got me is that in my territory system, Seattle is in Taurus, right? Seattle is in Taurus. So this headline, pinging as Uranus is in retrograde, breaking through, and the moon passed in recognition of Uranus. It's pretty potent timing to me. So I just threw these graphics together. And this is a humdinger, guys. This is a humdinger. Ignatius Loyola, his birth name is Indigo Lopez de Onez y Loyola. That's it. That's a hell of a name. But the indigo catches my eye, right? Indigo. It's the murex purple of the high breastplate of the ephod priests. The indigo. Do you guys see a similarity between Oscar Ichazo, the grand poobah of the Enneagram, through its vices and virtues? And
yeah, there's an uncanny resemblance, isn't there?
Yes. And so whatever is going on here, I believe Oscar Ichazo is trying to hail to Ignatius in his portraiture. There are other pictures of Ignatius, or I'm sorry, there's other pictures of Oscar out there. This one, he's going out of his way to hail to the granddaddy, right? And I also see I really can't help but notice that Japanese likeness in his eyes, and I'm actually fairly confident that I should be saying Japanese and not any other Asiatic feature. I think these are Japanese eyes, especially for people who know the difference. And I'm not claiming to know the difference, but I do recognize Japanese. And if anybody is dialed to what Shogun was about originally in the book form, what it became in film and what they just tried to scrub in the most recent Shogun, I hope you all are paying attention because the book had it all. And all of the secondary derivations are trying to wash away the difference between Protestant and Jesuit, between the Windows and the Macs. They have been scrubbing the difference between these two things for obfuscation jollies. But also, Robert Anton Wilson kind of has not exactly the same features, but he definitely has the same ethos. And then Indigo Montoya, the most vengeful of all our favorite fencers and swordsmen. You killed my father, prepare to die. And then did you guys see this well, I don't know. I'm losing track of what this thing is supposed to look like. 3-Eye Atlas. Did you guys see this?
Oh yeah.
It's a
alien invasion.
It's a shape-shifting chimera for the camera of America. That's what it is.
Yeah, I have no idea where some of these images are coming from with people.
Yeah, I think they got it straight out of this old cartoon right here. What is the name of this? Star. Oh, I forget the name of this cartoon. But APAC, right? APAC is a problem. Star Pack is the name of the agency here.
Oh yeah.
Yep. In psychosexually, she's getting off. He's feeling the pain from behind,
Looking glass right there.
Some looking glass to the max. Yep. Yep. And then this is an old thread from a long time ago regarding, remember what I said about every year. Oh, no. This is different meteor shower. Hold on. It's the next meteor shower. So on 9-1 is Audriga the Charioteer, and it's going for a long haul. But the next meteor shower to pop off is 10-8, and that's the day after October 7th, right? And on 10-8 every year is the pinnacle of the Draco meteor shower. And the Draco meteor shower, it's a very short meteor shower, but what's fascinating is that it seems to be coming out of the head of Draco. It is literally a fire-breathing dragon. The meteor shower radiant comes out of the head of Draco. And I find it so profound that the sky is animated on a time scale that people don't see. It's way too macro. They're not going to see it. So yeah, on 10-8 every year, there's a meteor shower on the Draco constellation. And sure enough, Snake Plissken was foreshadowing hang glider attacks and hang glider tactics. But I just want to point out, it's not merely cheesy and campy. It's also historic as well. And that is because Mussolini was kidnapped by himself, probably false flag style, held up in the woods in this bunker over here. And then they had to send in special agent rangers who infiltrated this facility on hang gliders, silent infiltration and not a shot fired, and they saved Mussolini. So that's what I will always think about is the man who defined fascism had a publicity stunt, and it had to do with the Rangers on hang gliders. And this one is just kind of fun. The art card is shaped like a bell. Art Bell.
Oh yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And I think we're there. Oh, nope. Okay, this one, then I'll let you all go. I'm sorry, I'm chewing your ear off, fellas. I can barely.
You're good, bro. You're good.
I can't even see you. Good. Yeah, just bark at me if I'm stepping on toes. But this one is a wonderful treasure from my research into logical fallacies and the philosophical razors. It turns out onus probandi, or the burden of proof, refers to the obligation of a party in a legal dispute to provide evidence supporting their claims. Typically, the party making an assertion must prove its validity. while the opposing party is presumed to be correct until the evidence is presented. That Latin phrase sounds a lot like a certain person out there answering for certain power agencies beyond the doctrine of necessity. Pam Bondi. And when the bullshit with the coils under the pyramids was had its publicity campaign, the PR stunt, they
Mhm.
released this lady who looks just like Pam Bondi with a palm tree next to her, right like Pam
Oh
Bondi,
yeah.
put her palm up to take the oath. Her tatas are occulted by the pyramids here. It's the same woman. It's looking like the same damn woman.
What you also find as well with the alchemist hand as well. That's also the same idea as we were talking about with the the mutable and immutable elements. But do you know what's interesting about Pam Bondi, Erica Kirk, and there's
Oh,
Lucy. I think it's Lucy. I'm gonna have to look it up. 2 seconds. Um, Lindsay Halligan, right? She's basically the MAGA U.S. attorney, and then Pam Bondi is the Attorney General. They are all part. Well, they were all part of Donald Trump's pageantry sort of business back in the 90s and early 2000s and early 2010s. Now, interestingly, where does the word pageant come from? Well, it originated in the 14th century from the Middle English, where it referred to a portable stage or wagon used for mystery plays. It derives from the medieval Latin word pagina, which meant a play in a cycle of mystery plays.
yeah, man. Circle the wagons, y'all. It's story time. It is story time. That is glorious. Silas, thank you for bringing it, man. What else you
Yeah.
got with that? What else?
Well, I mean, yeah, really, it's exactly what you're saying. It's all of this is a ritualized ordeal, which is society itself. It's literally um, a cycle of plays or a cycle of activities within a grander mystery performance. Um, they're reflecting the macrocosm within the microcosm. It's the world stage. It's like you're saying, circle the wagons. It's the amphitheater, isn't it? They're just they've created this semicircle, which I guess is evocative of both the dawn and the dusk, the rising of the sun and its twilight. So it's
Yes.
yeah.
I've actually been thinking about pageantry. Have you heard the theory that one of these Charlie's Angels is really Benet Ramsey? Have you heard that one?
It's
I've not, no, actually, I haven't.
Pam, right? Pam
Yeah,
Bondi or whatever.
Well, probably. I mean, as
That's the
soon as
one
we
they
try
say.
to pick one, they'll be like, "Oh no, it's the other blonde over
Yeah.
there." Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, of course, I have to believe it. But let me see. I just sent another graphic I want to jump to because you mentioned circling the wagons. Here it is. Check this out. This is so fascinating. You were talking about the pageantry is the traveling mystery plays on wagon. MTV has been referred to as a juggernaut for the entire 40 years. I've heard that phrase, MTV is a juggernaut, probably 40 times. And sure enough, what do we get when we look up the juggernaut? The juggernaut is a traveling wagon with mysterious mechanics within and all kinds of um, cultural traveling mystery, we'll say. And in some places in India, they still have festivals for the juggernauts in the temple of Odisha. And Juggernaut is this character from which one? Is that Marvel? I think. And then
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
okay, yeah. And then if we got towers that roll around and roving towers, we got to bring in the 16 tower card for sure.
What's interesting about the Juggernaut as well is it derives from the Sanskrit Jagannatha, which means Lord of the World. Now, of course, in Romans 4:4,
Yes.
I think it's Romans 4:4 where it discusses Satan as the god of this world, right? And I mean, we could go into the whole Gnostic idea that Yahweh is in fact Satan and all of this, but um, what's interesting about that is Jagannatha, or the Lord of the World, is actually an appellation. It's a title for the Hindu god Krishna, which I believe is an avatar of Vishnu, or of preservation. Krishna itself actually means dark one. So you have the same idea as the mysterious stranger, right? He who almost like Shiva in a sense.
Yeah.
He preserves the world through its periodic destruction, and after each periodic destruction, again because of the fractal masking, it maintains its identity, its id entity. It's the id being that of the sort of low, how could you describe it? The sort of lower level instincts, so it maintains itself on those things. This is why they want everything is identitarianism. They want you to identify with your id entity, right? Which is basically the false self. It is the false memory. You brought it up, Slick, I think, earlier on in discussion, where you have this sort of panoply, this tabernacle, this canopy of false memories, which are the illusions. They birth the illusions, So yeah, it's that's everything's mental. The whole entire universe is mental in that sense.
Big time. So when I was making this graphic, it kind of stood out to me. The first thing I saw was like, oh my gosh, the word Levi is in the word television. And, Machiavelli, his discourses on Levi are probably his most forgiving works. A lot of people tell you to approach him through discourses on Levi before you judge him. But also, I see the word Elvis. Elvis is right here. Elvis is in the word television. And that's pretty funny. My buddy Kyle was talking about Elvis the other day. I think that's pretty profound.
The king.
The king.
I just shared a screen really fast because I just realized what those remind me of, aside from the 28 years later Bone Castle or Bone Tower. I think this is actually better.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, we're going to go crazy, y'all. We're totally about to go crazy. We're about to go crazy. That is a great one.
Yeah, the airships with Trump's name on them from back in the day. And their wagon airships, I guess they looked exactly like the wagons that you were just showing.
Where's this from?
These are supposedly, I'd have to stop sharing and look it back up. But these are old drawings of, I think, back when they had the airship sightings in the U.S.
Oh my
what people
God.
had said they had seen.
Oh,
if I'm remembering correctly, right? It's wild.
My mind is blown. You've blown my mind.
I am chomping at the bit. All right, so we're on the 7. I want to make sure people acknowledge the consistency. Like, we're not grabbing at straws. We have not moved away from the 7. Chariot card, tower card. Juggernaut is a tower on a chariot, right? You combine the two, the chariot and the tower, and you get the Juggernaut. What happened on 9/11? Tower, chariot, right? We have not left the consistency of the number 7 symbolically. And Chris, you just brought up that traveling carnival wagon thing. What is it called?
So apparently that's 19th century art of it's called the enigmatic, or I don't know if enigmatic's in the title, but I remember Dark Journalist posted this and he put the enigmatic Del Shau airship artwork. Del Shau is spelled Dellschau.
Yes. Thank you, man.
I'll put that in the chat so everyone can see it.
I love Walter Bosley so much. He is so brilliant. He has so much on offer. And I just sent one more graphic because I want to consummate what you had there, Chris. This is Bonkersville, folks. The level of consistency transculturally is pointing at something so vast and huge that it's not even piecemeal. I think we're looking directly at it right now. The 7th muse is Calliope. she has this. She's the most mysterious. She's the eldest of all the muses. She's number 7. And at some point in her arc of meaning, she became associated with the steam valved instruments. And that is the strangest of all the muses, that she gets the steam power. She's well esteemed. And in fact, she is said to have inspired all of the epics where there was too much disrespect up in here. And that's why they go to war, is because you don't esteem your enemy sufficiently. So you're pointing at that Walter Bosley's image, and I am still on number 7, gentlemen. I'm still talking about Calliope, the muse that inspired all the epics. And look at her; she's playing this instrument. And the thing that you brought up, Chris, is a traveling musical instrument. It would have to be steam powered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so what I think this points at is we are underestimating our enemy. If you think that the Aeolophile of Athanasius Kircher was not up and running and that they didn't have steam power much longer ago than history will allow your ability to experiment to even have the conversation. If you can't do an experiment, then you can't have the conversation. Well, 6-bit experiment, y'all. And I'm telling you that Calliope is legit. And she's been doing steam power all the way since Hero of Alexandria. Pre-Kircher and on before that is Hero of Alexandria created the Aeola pile. And what is the 7th station of the Odyssey? It's the Olaphiles. That's basically the name of the people in the culture on the 7th station of his Enneagram journey. They're the Aeolopile, something like that. I'm probably saying it slightly wrong. But what was their gift to Odysseus? They give him the Zephyr Wind. It's a steam-powered hot air balloon, y'all. That's what he gets on the 7th station of the Enneagram. So while Newton's flaming laser is telling you that if you can't experiment on the theory, then there's no reason to talk, I'm telling you, I've been experimenting on this theory, and it is all pointing at the consistency of the Enneagram, going back to the Muses, going back to the Library of Alexandria that was secretly a museum.
What's interesting as well about the idea of vapor or air, and having power, you also see the same thing in The Birth of Venus by Botticelli, and that image, you see the birth of Venus, but she's being birthed from the tumultuous seas, and the tumult is being created by this this embracing couple. Well, I mean, there's certain interpretations of what this embracing couple is. Probably Uranus and I forget the female that it could be his consort. Probably Gaia, I think. And Uranus, the sky, quite literally, is blowing onto the sea to create this tumult, to create this storm, which births, of course, Venus from the clam or the oyster, similar to the world egg, right? Or even Plato's Calopolis, because what do you call it? The peril. The peril is created through friction. Is created from decay within the oyster. So it's the same idea that you see with the eggs, same idea you see with Plato's Calopolis, same idea you see with the lotus. The lotus is birthed from the mire, from the swamp. And the idea of the vapor as well in the air is linked to the cycles of precipitation. So it's essentially similar to the soul. When we die, we go back up. We precipitate, if you will, as vapor back into this quote Uranus, the Caelus, the sky. And then we are birthed once again like tears from the moon, if you will, or fire from the sun, sparks from the sun, and we fall back down to earth. And this is the sort of circular cycle. It's interesting as well that you see organs, right? We have organs in our body, the organ, right? And it uses, of course, vapor, or it uses air, to generate logos, to generate frequency, to generate sound. you know, it's all pretty fascinating. I think a lot of these instruments, the organ being one, I mean, that is in pretty much every religious building in the West. There's a reason for that, because I think, well, the reason is this sort of esoteric meaning I've just described. You know, I
Yeah.
think that's the case.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to just kind of put a little more seasoning on the idea of how is Calliope empowered by, or the symbolized by steam powered instruments, and how could her relationship to steam powered instruments relate to her being the cause or the inspiration of all the epics? Because all the epics are battles and conflicts, right? All the epics, it wouldn't be a good story if there wasn't something to fight for. And I just want to maybe plant the possibility that what if the epic battles had to do with humans developing steam power, and that the steam power capacity becomes kind of like the AI of the age, and they got to go to
The
battle
manos.
over who controls it. Yeah. And so
Exactly.
I wonder if on the down low, if some of the epic battles through time, at least Milton's Paradise Lost at a minimum, but I'm saying maybe even way further to the Mahabharata and all that steam power was the AI of its day. And that's profound, because Calliope, yeah, she gets all the credit. We'll say that she gets all the credit. Fellas, we're going on 3 hours.
Yeah, I was going to
Nailing
say
it?
too, before we finish, that guy's middle name, Charles Del Shao, the guy who apparently did all these drawings. They have it listed as Charles A. Del Shao. And if you look at a lot of these images, you could see, I see lamb. I see like weird stuff that you see in all of the Crowley Totec. You're going to see a bunch of stuff in these airship images. So I think the AA is,
Yeah, buddy.
I don't know what the hell's going on here, but there's something Crowley-esque there.
You nailed it. CAAD is LAAM, and it's also it has a potential to become a 314, the lamb, but it's also a CAD. If you look up a CAD, it's a person who benefits from college and academia culture without committing to it. So it's somebody on the outskirts of academia that's not committed to academia, but they're thriving on that perimeter, is a CAD. And so
apparently it's also now computer-aided architectural design.
I actually use that, yeah.
Do you really? Oh, I was just going to go
to, yeah.
So the OSS, the original CIA, before they called it the CIA, guess what it was? It was a Kybernetes of CADs. It was a Kybernetes of CADs is how it came to be. So, yeah, I just thought I would throw that thread up in there.
The AA could also relate to Argenta Mastra as well, you know? The silver, was it Silver Star? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
So, yeah.
Ever since we mentioned that in the last show we did, and I showed my theory that the archetypes of Alcoholics Anonymous might be more preeminent to your psyche than anything Carl Jung or Joseph Campbell were on about. And it's even more simplified. It's more Occam's razor available to your simple mind to go for this AA archetype, not the real deal, not the real juice. And ever since I threw that idea out, I myself was in Alatats. I mean, a lot of people know about Alateen. In my country, we had Alatats. They had Alcoholics Anonymous for children. And I'm looking back at my upbringing and I'm like, that was sick shit. That was sick shit. I know they were well-intending, but they just didn't have the context to be self-aware to realize that this is just Catholicism in disguise. It's just Catholicism in disguise. It's crazy.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
All right, fellas. I appreciate y'all coming on for 3 hours. Silas, I'm glad you're off this week to stick around.
Yeah, man. Yeah. If I should be pretty free next week as well. Not all the week, but yeah, man.
I gotta say, the crowd really loved it. It was a high count video. It was a real high count video.
Heck yeah.
Good. Yeah,
Big
there's
time.
been a lot of comments. It's been absolutely fascinating. I've actually learned quite a lot. It's there's a few things that totally blew my mind in this one. Like that was wow. The Trump thing. Oh God, there was loads of things. Yeah, wow.
You know, one of my favorite Donald Trump truths is that his name, Donald Trump, is a perfect anagram. Well, no, it's a phonetic anagram. I'm taking liberties. An old damp turd.
An old damn turd.
An old damp turd takes me right back to the Dagobah system. I tell you what.
Funnily enough, as well, Donald or Donald in Gaelic comes from the Irish god Don, who's was the Lord of Death and War.
Yeah, I mean,
So I
yep.
mean, yeah,
And
that's the big Trump.
it is. Yes. It's also the doctrine of necessity, DON, doctrine of necessity. And this is why
Oh yeah.
Occam's razor is on fire right now, is because entities need not multiply beyond necessity. Whatever that graphic I made, I want to apologize to everybody. I didn't catch that little, Wikipedia fuckery in my graphic. It said entities need not multiply without necessity. That is such cunning fuckery. It should be beyond. And without is it's so fascinating how the slightest little, what do just a little misprision, just a little misprision in the text, and it flips the whole maxim. So yeah, I just want to make sure everybody trusts my words over my graphics. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Mario just came up in the house as we're about to peace out. Look at him. Big love, Mario. Thanks for joining, buddy. Man, Howard in the house. Sorry, I wasn't paying much attention to the chat, y'all, but I appreciate everybody coming and joining. Bonnie Greatorex. Thank you. Thank you greatly. And Lucy is in the house as well. Big love, Lucy Rose. All right, everybody. You guys got any shows coming up? Anything you want to announce?
Silas, do you?
No, I don't actually. Well, no, sorry, tell a lie. I'm finishing off the tarot series with Armin, so that video should be up hopefully this week because I have some free time to edit.
Dude,
and I'll just be on Emily's Patreon, so I don't know if she's gonna put anything public. But aside from that, maybe something on my channel. Who knows? I do stuff really randomly. So
yeah, buddy. Yeah. Well, shoot. Let's get together next week sometime. We'll work it out. This is
sounds good to me.
It's always juicy,
good, bro.
fellas. Always super juicy.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Big love and respect, everybody. Thank you for coming to join. Slickdissident.com. I got all kinds of goodies on there. I got the onesies and the zippos and the tarot cards. And also PayPal, Cash App. Straight up. Donate, share, like, subscribe, and pay it forward. All right. Thanks for joining, y'all.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.